doesn't get Hislop, and he throws the car in. Harrison wins, Palmer second, Dornell third. Got a car on the grass, several cars off. Hislop's getting tagged and he's out of the race, and off on the grass. Harrison takes the win. It's going to be Dornell's championship by my mathematics.
Channel switched. Sound resumed.
Obviously, iconic circuit in Kent, and obviously the weather's great outside and it's looking pretty good in our...
Sound muted. Sound resumed.
So today we're really keen to make sure that all of our viewers are engaged with us on Facebook and other channels. So please do make sure you comment on the Mini Challenge UK Facebook page. Let us know your thoughts, who you think is going to win the races, and everything that's going on in terms of your opinions of the driving standards and the overtaking manoeuvres that we're no doubt going to be seeing. So we're waiting for Richard to join us. He'll be with us very shortly. In the meantime, I'll try and keep you up to date with what's going on. So now just having a look at the calendar for the rest of the season. So as I said a moment ago, we're at Brands Hatch Indy circuit today, tight, short, roughly 1.2 mile circuit, roughly 51 second lap time. So very tight and twisty, and it is, as I said, going to be really busy. And then, of course, we'll be moving on to Silverstone next weekend, Silverstone National, that is, and then on to Silverstone International, the slightly longer circuit and configuration. Moving to my home circuit, Snetterton, up in Norfolk, the 300 circuit, long, really mixed bag of corners, test drivers to the absolute limit. Fast, exciting, lots of overtaking opportunities. And then we'll be moving up to Yorkshire to Croft, Max Coates' home circuit. Very traditional circuit. I'm sure many of you already know the configuration there, but it always brings about some really exciting racing. And of course, people stretching their circuit limit rules. With regard to the chicane at the start of the lap, and no doubt that will be extremely exciting. And then we're up to Scotland in July to Knockhill, an incredible undulating circuit. When the weather's nice, a beautiful place to be. When the weather's not so good, it's just tough. And then finalising our season at the Brands Hatch GP circuit, again back to the iconic Kent circuit, but the longer configuration that dives off into the woods and into the darkness often of the back part of the circuit. Incredibly challenging, lots of blind bends. One of the drivers' absolute favourites of the season. And of course, a couple of weeks after that, we are looking forward to starting our real world championship at Donington Park, and at the beginning of August. That's all currently being finalised, but certainly that's the expectation that we'll be doing that. Good morning, Richard. Welcome to the sim racing this weekend. How are you?
Coming through Discord. You're coming through Discord.
to look at that. And we'll keep track on we'll give you a sort of flavour of who's wearing the championship once we get into qualifying a little bit later today. Some of the drivers have already been out on the pre-practice this morning, and again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So a great view of Brands. I know that here's the championship standings. Let's talk more about Brands Hatch in a minute. Dave Marshall, championship leader by 10 points. And we put that into context for you last time out, which is about the difference between first and third position. Indeed, it is 50 points for a win, 44 for second, 40 points for third place. So that's the difference between Dave Marshall, who is the top of the sim racers at the moment, and Josh Hislop running second in the championship, 162. He's the top real racing driver. Toby and Lee third on 141. Then Jack MacIntyre. Both Toby and Jack are sim racers. They're followed by Alex Toth-Jones, who's second in the real racer category. Brad Hutchison is next, sixth in the championship. Josh Martin, Lewis Brown, Matt Richards, and Max Coates. So full complement of drivers once again. And they'll be looking forward to their qualifying session in just a few minutes' time. France, of course, originally a grass track circuit, which ran anti-clockwise in the early days around the field and used pretty much the configuration of the Indy circuit that you can see today, before they branched off into the Grand Prix circuit a few years later. And there have been some changes over the years, many of which, of course, safety related. We've got extra runoff this year on the real circuit as they come through Clark. And the track itself, with a big history, originally a motorcycle circuit, Brands Hatch Indy. Many famous drivers having started off, and that's reflected in some of the circuit corner names that you'll hear over the course of the meeting that we have for you here today. So in the free practice session that we saw this morning, I was keeping an eye on the times, and we had Toby Lee, who was the fastest driver there, with a 49.763. Josh Hislop on 49.78. Then Dave Marshall, 49.821. Callum Newsham, very well up the order, on 49.835 seconds. And then it was Jordan Brennan in the 98 car who rounded out the top five. So, and again, Callum and Jordan both replicating what they did last weekend. They were pretty much together on times all the way through the sessions at Donington Park. And it looks like they're going to be that way this weekend. At the moment, the pace setter is Dave Marshall, the championship leader, with Toby Lee in second position. Josh Hislop is in third. And then we've got Callum Newsham again, Scott Brennan right behind him. Lewis Brown in the 39 car running sixth on the timing screen at the moment. Now, a quick reminder for those of you who maybe didn't join us last time out, to let you know that this is a very professionally run championship and a huge prize pool, the total value of which is in excess of 20,000. The top sim driver will receive effectively a real racing prize of a weekend's racing in the Mini Challenge Cooper class, and the top real-world driver will receive a full sim setup as well. So there's a lot more to it than that. We'll tell you more about that as we go through, but basically rewards for either the top sim racer or the top real world racer. And great to see the two sets of drivers. Sometimes there's a little bit of blurring between sim world and real world. Some of the drivers, in terms of the driver biographies that we've seen, do a fair amount of sim work, and some actually compete in the sim world as well. And of course, it might be that you've got the budget to race in the sim world, but perhaps not to get up to the level that you would want to do in terms of the actual real world driving.
Hello
Partners
guys,
for the championship,
MS number 2 RSR car in the Mini Challenge eSeries. You're going to be joining me today for a lap of Brands Hatch Indy. To come out the last corner, you have to maximise exit speed and run right across to the left hand side. That gives you the higher top speed in the first corner. You go initially down one gear, and you be really patient on the throttle, take a little bit of curb, and then run it as wide as you can onto the green. Then you go up into Druids, down 3 gears in a second. Really important to get the car stopped, but thankfully you can use the uphill section to slow you down quite a lot. Coming to Graham Hill, you need to touch that outside curve a little bit. You need to scrape that inside curve and then maximise the exit, pushing all of the green. Then we go into the flat out left here. It's important to set yourself up for the last corner, take the right amount of curve on the right so you don't bounce yourself off. Down into third, and it's all about just powering through to the exit. You got to hold it as tight as possible so you cover the least amount of circuit, and that is a lap of Brands Indy.
My name's Rich Hayden. I own Virtual Reality Racing Club. We're here at Goodwood Festival of Speed. I'm here with Purple Sector Performance, which is a race driver training, all levels, club championship, all the way up to Le Mans level. What we do is we help them out with race simulation and driver coaching, and we do that using our SimRace Pro simulators, which you see behind me. They're really high-level simulation, and we use virtual reality to make sure that the immersion for the driver is as best as it could be, and giving them the accuracy to be able to follow the right lines and be as accurate with their driving style as they can be. One of the things we use with that is the HTC Vive Pro headset with a real high resolution. It's fantastic for driver training. It's the only way to drive a racing simulator. The average speed improvement or time improvement for a pro driver going from screens to VR is minimum is 1 second a lap, and the average is anywhere between 1.5 and 2 seconds per lap.
So qualifying underway here at the Brands Hatch configuration. Richard John Neal with Anthony Williams. Anthony, I don't know how much looking back you've done over the week, or how much thought. I've put a lot of thought into what happened in the opening round. It's been fascinating to look at the stats, but it was a good opening weekend, wasn't it, at Donington? Okay, we'll catch up with Anthony as soon as we can. Now, the timing screen telling us that at the moment, a driver we might possibly lose over the course of the next round because of work commitments. That's Lewis Brown is on provisional pole, having set at the moment, of course, very provisional at this early stage of the proceedings, but a competitive time of 49.728 for Lewis Brown. And that actually quicker than we saw from Tobin Lee, who was top of the standings in the free practice session that they had a little bit earlier on. So we'll see whether that all changes around. The key things that we're going to be looking out for today, again, we're going to be having some driver focus, some featured drivers over the course of the 4 races that we've got for you today. And having spoken about Lewis Brown, he's actually the driver we're going to focus on in race 1. So we'll spend a bit of time talking about Lewis, looking at what he's up to in the race. For race 2, it's Theo Bridgeman, who actually had a very good result here when he raced in the BRSCC Fiestas back in 2017. I think it was his first full season in those. And then in the second half of the meeting, part 2, race 1, or race 3 of today, if you like, we're going to have a look at Simon Reed. And then the final one for today will be Craig Timmins, which will be good to see as well. So looking forward to having a little bit of a chat about those drivers over the course of the weekend. Again, we're going to, at the end of the race, the cars will come around into a parc fermé, virtual parc fermé, and we'll, all being well, we'll have a chat with those drivers after the race, assuming we have time. I know time is absolutely of the essence in these, and if we don't get to chat to any particular drivers, then our apologies in advance for that, but we'll do our utmost to make sure that we do try and get a little bit of time focusing on those drivers and chatting to them once they come into our virtual parc fermé. As I mentioned, we've got 2 sets of races. There is Lewis Brown in the number 39 car, a real world mini racer, and a driver that I've had the pleasure of knowing since he raced in the Ginetta Junior Championship. 21 years of age, comes from Lincolnshire, works in the family business and vehicle salvage business. A super family. They've been a real friendly family to me and my family and all the race goers that come along over the years that I've known them. And really the highlight for Lewis, he was very quick in Ginetta Junior, but went on and won his first car racing crown in 2017 with the Ginetta GT5 Challenge, which he won. A great achievement for him, and then moved up into Mini Challenge in 2018. He was 7th in 2018, 5th in the championship last year. I'm very much looking forward to seeing him racing in 2020 and upwards and onwards. He's a very, very talented young racer, is Lewis Brown. And Lewis using, in terms of the setup that he's got, that he's using at home, is the Fanatec 2.5 Fanatec version 3 pedals and a Fanatec podium shifter. The rig is a GT Omega Pro for Lewis Brown, and he's got the triple screen setup, 27-inch triple screen. So that gives you paints a little bit of a picture of the kind of setup that Lewis Brown is using in the Mini Challenge UK eSeries here. There's the championship leader, that's Dave Marshall, another Fanatec user in terms of the wheel, Fanatec version 3 pedals, Fanatec sequential shifter, and a Swedish Rig Designs rig that he uses, and VR Acer ultra wide Oculus viewing equipment. And Dave coming into pit lane on our practice session. His time 49.658 at the moment. Lewis Brown in P2. So the 2 drivers we've had that last little bit of focus on are the guys that are holding sway at the top of the timing screen at the moment. A little bit of a change around though, and Tobin Lee moves up to 5th. A little bit odd for me actually to see. Now we've got them in the graphic that you can see on screen. It tells you whether the driver's a sim lad or a real racer. And Tobin Lee in 5th position has got the S in there, and it's very peculiar looking at mini racing and seeing S Lee, which is like the word sleigh, because there were 2 very quick boys called Tim and David Sleigh that raced in the Scottish Mini Cooper Cup several years ago. Sorry, I'm indulging my nostalgia there for the Sleigh brothers, who were both very quick drivers. And David Sleigh was the multiple champion. Both of them very quick drivers and very skilled preparation men as well. As we look at James MacIntrye in the 47 car, he's running Fanatec equipment as well. CSW 2.5 wheel for James MacIntrye, Fanatec Elite pedals, and a VR screen track racer rig. and coming down at the bottom of Graham Hill Bend. Now, a lot of you just seeing the Green Reaper there taking onto the green of the grass there will be saying, what about track limits? And there's been an awful lot of debate because Brands is the hotbed of track limits complaints really in the real racing world. And you'll know that if you watch real world racing, that Jonathan Palmer and the MSV team that are here have little sensors that activate cameras to take a picture if you do get the car right the way over the lines there. Now, as I say, a lot of chatting was done and a lot of head scratching, and it was decided, I think, that the limits are a little bit further perhaps than you would see in the real world. Otherwise, we might end up with all of the drivers getting a drive through. So that's why you'll see the drivers maybe taking a little bit more of an advantage of that than you would in the real world. And also, hopefully, it will mean that we won't get too many drive-through penalties. That's key. We don't want everybody having to go in and having a pit stop race. So there's Frankie Taylor. This is effectively his home circuit. He was one of our featured drivers last time out in the 32 machine. I think Frankie the only driver using the SimMagic M10 and GT wheel, Fanatec pedals with Club Sport shifter, SimLab rig, and Samsung curved screen for Frankie Taylor. And Frankie's going to be hoping to get off the mark in terms of championship points. I haven't had a chance to catch up with him, but a frustrating day for him at Donington Park last weekend. But the youngest driver in the field, very much learning what he's doing in terms of sim race. Look at this super shot that we get up at Druids, which again replicates the detail, the replication detail here. We were watching a practice run in the week, and the people I was watching with were just saying how incredible the detail was. Even you look at the background as they come along the main straight, you'll see Jonathan Palmer's helicopter in there as well, which is amazing. Here's Luke Kidsley. He's tipped to pick up some points, some big points this weekend. At the moment, disappointingly for Luke, 15th in the championship, the driver of the number 8 car, 36 years of age from Northamptonshire. Outside of Motorsport, Luke produces electronic music, so if you need a jingle, I'm sure Luke will sort you out in that department. And vastly experienced. His dad was a well-known hill climber. Luke did that as well after an apprenticeship in karting. He then raced in Formula Jedi, as I mentioned last week, was Jedi champion. Did some Mini 7 racing, so there's a little bit of synergy with the Mini brand there. Then Caterham's raced in Clio Cup as well. And Luke Kidsley, one of the fancy drivers, very much off track there, as you can see. And Luke currently, well, 15th in the championship, and indeed 15th on the timing screen, which is still headed by Dave Marshall, who here is looking to defend a 100% record of poles. He had both poles last time out. He won both of his races from pole and had varying fortunes in the reverse grid races, which we'll see. And I was starting to tell you about the format for the weekend if you haven't joined us before. So the format is we've got 2 sets of 2 races effectively. Race 1 in each of the sets. The grid is formed as you would expect in the traditional manner by qualifying, as we're seeing now. In race 2, we'll see the top 10 finishers reversed. So 10th position will start pole position for race 2. And Dave Marshall did well enough, obviously last weekend, to start 10th in both of his second races. Dropped a place. He had varying fortunes, but picked up 2 11th places. So 2 wins and 2 11th, securing him the top points in the championship. But in addition, scored 6 points for both of the pole positions and also 2 fastest laps from race 1 and race 2. But the fastest lap in race 3 was Josh Hislop, and the fastest lap in race 4 was Tobin Lee. So we were starting by the end of the Donington event to, get different people coming up and bagging those extra 6 points, which are going to be absolutely crucial at the end of the season. So one of the things we expected was it was going to be a crowded track. I've got to say, at the moment, things aren't looking too bad. A little bit more space on circuit than we perhaps might have expected. Frankie Taylor rejoining from the gravel at Paddock Hill Bend, so good to see Frankie back on circuit. It's going to be nerve-wracking when they head into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, as we watch Max Coates in the 71. Max running a Fanatec version 2.5 BMW rim, Fanatec with V3 pedals and sequential box, SimLab GT1 with triple 27-inch screen, so all the gear Some people will say no idea, wouldn't they? Sorry, Max. He's going to listen to this back, isn't he? But Max has done an awful lot of hard work behind the scenes to help pull this championship together, which has been very much appreciated. Max coming into pit lane. Where is Coatsy? 8th position at the moment on the timing screen, up ahead of Jordan Brennan. So it's Marshall, Hislop, Tobin Lee, Lewis Brown. Jack Mack is next up. And then we've got Rob Butler in 6th position. So Rob Butler having a good run in the 74 car, the 28-year-old from Cheshire. A name you might well know, particularly if you're into your karting, and keep an eye further than England or England, Ireland, Scotland, because England, Wales, and Scotland, I should say, because he was Irish karting champion, raced Irish touring cars, driver coach to Reece Barr, who takes part in TCI Europe, and also Ryan Dignan, who is with us on track in the official mini challenge eSeries with Virtual Reality Racing Club. Scott Jeffs in number 90, the 22-year-old from Stratford-on-Avon. 3 races in JCW last year with the mini challenge, and 15th in the championship in 2018. Now looking to, as well as doing this, hoping to get in some NASCAR Wheel and Euro races underway. As you can see, sporting the livery of the NHS, which we are all in this championship supporting, and Supercores, and very proud to be supporting that charity. But Dave Marshall still on pole, Josh Hislop in P2. Hislop 2nd in the championship, so the championship battle really looking pretty consistent, with Toby Lee 3rd in the championship, 3rd on the grid. Lewis Brown is 8th in the table, but 4th. Then it's Jack MacIntyre. If we look at the table, 4th in the championship, Jack MacIntyre, one of the sim racers, and his results were, if we were plotting a graph, we've seen so many graphs, haven't we, with COVID over the last few months. If you're plotting a graph, his would be probably the most consistent, because all of his finishes were in the top 8. He was 4th in race 1, 8th in race 2, the reverse grid race, and then 3rd in race 3 and 6th in race 4. So made a little bit more progress in race 4, but the only driver to have all of his results inside the top 8. So he's definitely going to be one to watch, and he starts 5th here at the moment, as we said, ahead of Rob Butler. Max Bird, who was one of our featured drivers in the opening round at Donington Park, is next up, and he's in the 44 car. So he's 7th from Max Coates, then Jordan Brennan. Just having a look for Callum Newsham. At the moment, Brennan has got the upper hand over Callum Newsham. Down behind him is Josh Martin in the 89 machine, and then it is the number 2 car, which is Ryan Elliott, the RSR team entry, the 18-year-old from Stockton-on-Tees. As we look at Tobin Lee in the 55, as I said last time, 19 years old, so a teenager from Bath, hasn't actually driven a race car yet, Tobin Lee. And he's an advisor for the British Esports Association, and has a degree in business management courtesy of his work with Plymouth University. Last year was 2nd in the world at the $250,000 Forza Racing Finals in Los Angeles. So an extremely quick driver, lovely guy to talk to as well last weekend on the podium, and looking to do great things once again this weekend at Brands. The guys really do put the time in. So Tobin in 3rd place at the moment, Tobin Lee in the purple cars. You can see track limits are being exceeded, particularly at Graham Hill. That does tend to be the main problem area here at Brands Hatch, is the bottom of Graham Hill Bend. The area where the cars are going through now is a big runoff which has been put together for this year in the real world, as Ryan Dignan comes in the 84 car, the RSR racing machine coming through. Let's see if we managed to get hold of Anthony.
Hello, Richard. Hopefully
Hello.
you can hear me now.
I'll take a breath. Great to hear you. And apologies if I was withering on and not letting you in. But how was your week?
No, it was all good. I had a little technical glitch with my new headset last time. I was a bit quiet. I think people couldn't hear me, so I got a new headset. But the fact that it's got more than one button on it confused me.
That would do the same for me. The guys that set things up for us know a sight more, don't they?
Very much so.
Isaac Smith. Now, he's 11th in the championship. Now, the championship table that I printed off, I drew a line under the top 10, and then I draw another line sort of 5 places down and so on until we get to P15, P20, 25, and so on and so forth. But because I drew a line under Max Coates, who's 10th in the championship, I sort of neglected Isaac Smith, and our director, Mike, very rightly picked up on him there as we flicked to Matt Richards in the number 4 car. One of the things that I reflected on in the week, Anthony, was, we saw an awful lot of drivers, mixing it at the top end at some time or another. It's vastly competitive.
Yeah, very much so. Dave Marshall, clearly was a very strong contender last time out, but there were so many other people there or thereabouts. But it is interesting to see that he's there again, right at the top, stamping his authority on qualifying this weekend too.
I think maybe from that we can just deduce that he probably spends all day practicing.
Well, that may well be the case, but he's certainly demonstrating that practice is paying off here.
He's a talented guy, isn't he, Dave Marshall? And actually has done a little bit of real-world car action, not in terms of racing, but took part in the Want to Race scholarship, which is one of the, I think, spin-off from Ginetta, and he was a finalist for that in 2018. And also a Team Hard finalist last year. So, as you know, and I think I said last week, very much one of the drivers who is very good at everything he does and makes the likes of you and I a little bit sick sometimes.
No, absolutely, but I think it's going to be still very close this weekend, and there's going to be lots of other people.
So qualifying done. I'm just going to grab a screenshot. So let's unmic for a bit. And I can tell you that it was Dave Marshall then who maintains his 100% record. Great achievement from Dave Marshall. I'm sure he won't mind us giving a little bit of stick. But superb from him to take that pole position from Josh Hislop, Tobin Lee, then Lewis Brown. Jack Mack is 5th. Max Coates in 6th position. Josh Martin from Callum Newsham, Rob Butler and Max Bird wrapping up the top 10. Luke Kidsley managed to get up into 11th ahead of Jordan Brennan. Then it was Ryan Elliott in 12th place, and then Matt Richards in the number 4 from Alex Toth-Jones. So that's the top 15 for you. And as you can see on the last laps, Josh Hislop and Max Coates both improving on the last laps. But that purple lap, we very often talk in real world racing about purple sectors, and here the purple lap was with Dave Marshall, who goes on pole position, the top overall, top sim lad as well. But a really good mix again, Anthony, of real world racers and sim boys together.
No, absolutely. As we were saying last time out, we were slightly nervous that the sim racers were just going to wipe the floor with the real world racers. Of course, it's the discipline that they're used to, but actually that's not turning out to be the case. Yes, Dave Marshall's quite dominant right up there at the top with a couple of others that are really doing a good job alongside him. But actually, yes, we're seeing some of the real world racers making a strong impression.
It's going to be a fascinating race for sure.
No, very much so, and it's good to see Callum Newsham up there. He's a long-standing supporter of the Real World Championship, and just want a quick shout out to Vanessa Poole, who's commented on Callum's results in qualifying on our Facebook feed. So keep those comments coming from all of you viewing on the Facebook feed, please.
Yeah, I'd love to know who you're supporting and why, and also feed through any gossip about them. The drivers won't thank us for asking for that, but it's quite good to know.
No, very much so.
They've been a bit shy so far. Even the dads have been a little bit wary. In the real world, when we go and wander around the paddock, I know for a fact, like Max Coates' dad will always give me dirt on Max. At some time, it could be something embarrassing to talk about. And that's the kind of thing it's the sort of thing that builds personalities and helps people, I suppose, remember the drivers as much as anything else. So if you have got any information about, ping it through, and Anthony will be delighted to pick that up.
Just keep it clean, everybody, though, please.
Absolutely. We'll moderate. I think Anthony will use his discretion to moderate what comes through. But I must admit, I do need to catch up with Rob Coates, Max's dad, to see what the latest gossip is from his side.
Maybe we could try and organise to get some of the fans and dads joining us on the commentary now and again.
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? That'd be a super
we'll have
idea.
we'll have to talk to the technical guys to see whether that's possible.
Well, as you can see, the cars are on the grid ready for race number 1 here on the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. As Anthony told you at the start of our feed, we are here for the final round of the year, which will be on the Grand Prix circuit. We very much look forward to that. My preference, I quite like the Indy as a spectator because you can see all the action. You don't have to wait half a minute for the cars to come around on that loop. The loop's a fantastic track to commentate on. But I've got to say, you know, and a great track to drive on, but from a spectator's point of view, if you're in the stands and you can see the virtual stands there and the Bradford Stewart centres that overlook the main straight, then the people that go in there just love being able to see all of the action on the 1.2 Indy circuit, which is where we are today. It's a super venue, very well maintained. It was lovely in the week to see some footage of cars back out testing as well at Brands Hatch, Anthony. So the world is very slowly getting back to not normal, but a little bit nearer to normality.
Yes, very much so. And I was actually at Snetterton on Thursday, and the same there. Not maybe the same number of people as normal, but there's certainly a few people getting out, starting to practice.
But a good day.
Very nice. The weather was fantastic. No wind. Unusual for Snetterton.
That is unusual, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, that's great to hear. Glad to hear you there. And any of your boys out there, presumably.
I didn't see anybody from our group this time out, but it was still a reasonably busy day.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And lots of various disciplines looking to get back out on track for real. And as Anthony said in the build-up, the Real World Championship aiming to get underway in August. That's what we're looking for. And that's certainly what's on the cards. We haven't seen any changes to that as yet. We'll see where the next few weeks take us. But yeah, really looking forward to getting back out and about and having some real race action. Back to our first race of the day, though. The championship leader, though, is on pole. You can see on the outside of the front row, Dave Marshall in blue, Tobin Lee in the purple and white car on the inside line. If you're wondering why he's parked up on the outside, there's a little bit of in the real one, a little bit of a gradient that runs downhill. So the outside line can be perceived as that having a little bit more of an advantage, and that's what Dave earned through qualifying. But look how many entrants we've got here, and this is, you know, mirroring the superb entry that we have in the real world. The grid goes right the way back. It's not a starting straight, is it? It's a starting curve, and the guys at the back, you know, won't be able to see the lights on the gantry. So it's such a huge field that we've got here. And at the tail of the field, as you can see, the detail I referred to earlier on of Jonathan Palmer, the MSV. So I think that's his one rather than the air ambulance. The air ambulance, of course, what we needed today. But Jonathan Palmer, who does in big events, tend to go up and make sure that everything is being done to his liking, which is attention to detail and great service standards that you get from MSV. So it's Marshall and getting ready for the start of our 5th race of the year. The red light sequence underway. Have a look at the back of the grid as well. It's lights out. We are official mini challenge eSeries racing with Virtual Reality Racing Club here at Brands Hatch. Now hold on to your hats as they go into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. It's great stuff from the front of the field. But I just held my breath momentarily. Yeah, they all made it around Paddock. I tell you what, that's good driving standards from all of them. But look how crowded it is as they go up into Druids. We get a quick shot there of Jordan Brennan in 98 on the outside line as they go up into Druids. Down, and we've got a car in the barrier and a clout there. So a couple of cars suffering knocks in the early stages of race number 1 here at Brands Hatch. I think they're mid-order drivers. Not what we wanted to see. They managed to get through Paddock Hill Bend, which is the tricky bit, but then they all clatter together as they come down through. And that again, I think, tends to mirror what can happen in the real world. As we look on the right at Tom O'Farrell and Myler in Scotland, going through shot in the 97. But as they cross the line for the first time, it is Dave Marshall who is up front from Josh Hislop. But frenetic start, as perhaps we might have expected, Anthony.
Yeah, that's pretty much typical of mini challenge races at Brands Hatch. In fact, to be honest, I think the Paddock Hill Bend, I was quite surprised at how clean and tidy it was. But of course, as we came back down to Graham Hill Bend, there was a little bit more action.
Yeah, I think the thought process on turn one that just pushed the inevitable maybe onto turn four, but that does sometimes happen, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, but Dave Marshall, what a guy! I mean, quick starter, gets away very, very quickly, and he'll be hoping that he doesn't get challenged from it. He was a victim, I think, a little bit of traffic in the reverse grid starts last time out. When he started in 10th position, but still emerged with the championship lead intact. So Dave Marshall, but has got very keen competition, and we've seen that one non-finish. By the way, the points that we described last time out, all the drivers got together and had a little bit of a chat last time. One thing that won't happen in the real world is a change in the points championship. Oh, Dave, that was track limits for sure, Dave Marshall, but not in the context of what we're saying here. But they've originally the points went down to 20th place 15 points, but now all the drivers down to 34 get points. So 21st place gets 14 and so on down. And the points have been readjusted from Donington to reflect that. So all bar the last finisher, assuming we do have the same number of finishers, all the ones that start finish, they would all score points. So I think that's probably fair. There's good incentive for the drivers as well.
Yeah, no, it's good to make sure that people want to try and finish and score some points to give themselves a chance of picking up a result in the overall championship. And this being the ignorable season of the Mini Challenge eSeries, there's a little bit of learning to go on. So I think there will be some changes along the way as we tailor what we're doing to make the best overall experience for the drivers and the viewers.
Absolutely right. There's Lewis Brown going along Cooper Straight, up into the right-hander at Surtees, left-hander now at McLaren for Lewis Brown. Mentioned in qualifying, this may be Lewis's last round, because I think, obviously like a lot of other people, he may have to get back to work, family concerned, the next week. But I hope we do see Lewis carrying on racing in this. It'd be good to see. At the moment, as I say, a healthy 8th position in the championship, so not far away. He's got 107 points, so would be able to claw his way up to the likes of Dave Marshall and Josh Hislop. But at the moment, Marshall, the man who is set to extend the championship lead, which he did by getting 6 points from qualifying. Nice in-car shot here from Lewis, looking ahead at Josh Martin in the number 89 car. Max Coates immediately ahead of them. Nobody hanging over the fence there along Cooper Straight, which you do normally get in the real world. They normally get people diving down to the back fence to watch. It's a super place to watch, actually, if you're with teams. And when most of the teams, actually, if they can't go on the pit wall, that's one of the places where they do like to watch. Max Bird in the 44 machine, who's in 9th position at the moment. It's Josh Martin who's got the fastest lap at the moment in the 89 car. So well done, Josh. Let's see whether he can maintain that. An extra 6 points that go with that. So that could have a very positive effect on the championship points you score in the race, effectively getting you an extra 6 race places, if that is the case. But that's changed now. No, he's still got it at the moment, 49.826. The last lap saw improvements from Max Coates, Luke Kidsley, Jordan Brennan, Matt Richards, Rob Butler, a plethora of drivers all managing to bang in quicker laps. Race format 20 minutes plus 1 lap. We are just about a quarter of the way through the first race, and as you can see, Dave Marshall looking very good at the moment from Josh Hislop in P2, and then Tobin Lee. And I think the battle between Lee and Hislop could be the one that we maybe focus on as we head towards the midpoint of this race. Lee is the chaser, and this effectively is going to give Dave Marshall a little bit of breathing space as Hislop maybe looks at his mirrors.
I think that was pretty much the same last time out at Donington for the first race. That Dave managed to get ahead, and the people behind did a little bit of battle. I think he ended up a little with a decent gap the last time out. Changing the subject a bit, I was chatting with Max Coates in the week, and he was hopeful of a really good result. And it looks like he is starting to make headway against MacIntyre in 4th. So I'm anticipating that Max is going to be able to pull this together.
Certainly been putting some time in the sim, and he just seems to be working all the time at the moment, Max Coates, as Tobin Lee has a little nibble there going through paddock. If you've never been to Brands Hatch, I implore you, once we're able to go watching Motorsport again, do go and have a day out. come and see the drop away that you have. I make no apology for saying it every time I commentate. It's an awesome drop. If you ever get the chance to do a track day, I recommend that as well, because you won't get the feel for what that corner is like, reality or otherwise. Even on TV, we don't get the drop. It doesn't come over on the TV, not even from the onboards, but it's massive. And I've been lucky to have a couple of passenger laps around Brands Hatch and have driven it as well myself. And it's an absolutely awesome corner. It's my favourite corner anywhere in the UK, Paddock Hill, Brands Hatch.
Yeah, that geography really does affect the car's handling. As you come over the brow, there's a drop away, and the car has a tendency to just go light just around about there, and that's inevitably brings about a number of potential spins.
Sorry, Anthony, contact there as Tobin Lee goes up the inside line, and Josh Hislop is down to 4th, 5th, 6th, now 7th. Is he going to be able to continue? Now we do have a clerk of the course, which is Andy Ringland, a mini racer, a mini clerk as well, proper MSA clerk, who will be looking at the footage afterwards. I think today we won't be publishing the championship table. It's literally too much of a rush from the team behind to get everything in and checked for the end of the broadcast, but it will be put out as soon as possible, and I'm sure it'll be very quick on social media afterwards. And of course that includes any judicials which may well happen, and unless we have a look at that again, Toby Lee was maybe a little bit too forceful, perhaps, going through on the inside line there, but he's up into P2 with Jack MacIntyre in 3rd, and Jack looking for a 2nd podium of the season here, and more consistent points. Jack MacIntyre very much, I can't say dark horse, it's the wrong term because he's 4th in the championship, but so consistent. And as I said, he's the driver with all of his finishes in the top 8 so far. I don't want to put the curse to the commentator, I'm not going to do too much of that at Donington, but looking very, very good indeed at the moment, Jack MacIntyre. Max Coates now into 4th, Josh Martin is in 5th place. Martin still with that fastest lap, so this is good to see. Josh Hislop does recover and he's in 7th, and I tell you what, that quiet Scott, remember we spoke to him at Donington, very softly spoken, but I tell you what, he's going to be fired up now to that 7th place.
No, I'm sure he will be. And certainly showed the pace last time out that he'll be able to make up some places, I'm sure. But interesting to see Josh Martin doing so well. He's a Cooper class driver in the real world, so not a JCW class driver, but really showing his ability here. And if I remember rightly, he had some good results out last time at Donington too.
Yes, he did. Josh 7th in the championship and 7th in race 1, 4th in race 2, which was his best result of the weekend, 6th position in the race 3. The bogey race, if you can call it that, was 13th position in race 4. So he will be, keen to improve on that championship position as we ride with Isaac Smith. That's not track limits, that's rallycross. So we're saying about track limits, there were some track limit penalties at Donington. It's basically two, you might see a driver go into the pits, but for one of 2 reasons. One would be jump start, but I don't think we've had anybody come through the pits as yet. Although just have a look at the timing screen to see if anyone's further down than we would expect. Callum Newsham's further back than we would expect, certainly, but I think he was involved in that skirmish as they went down to Graham Hill Bend on lap 1. So if somebody drops back or pits early on, it's going to be for track limits. For a jump start, and then after lap 3, if you see somebody disappear into the pits, it's likely to be for those track limits, as Alex Toth-Jones looks around the outside of James Merrill's 2 teammates. And again, a shout out for MSL Motorsport Consultancy, who are backing those 2 cars and helping us out in terms of support with this championship. Very much appreciated, and having a good race there at the moment. Merrill's and Toth-Jones further back than we would have thought. Down behind them, coming into shot there, is Damien Hall, our Barbadian police officer. I can't help thinking of that series with Danny John Jules when I think of Barbadian police. I know it's not Barbados, but you know the one I'm talking about, Anthony.
I'm afraid I don't. Actually.
Oh, you do.
But, you seem to be enjoying it anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so he was having a look on the inside line, just trying to get through, as we see Tom Williams, a driver registered as a sim race. He's in the yellow white 19 car. Another driver who's done a little bit of race car experience in terms of the Team Hard Want to Race scholarships. and hasn't actually got that much sim racing experience, but was very much up at the sharp end of things and doing a good job as we look at James Merrills once again, trying to come through and getting stuck in.
Just a quick reminder to everybody on Facebook to keep those comments coming. Quick shout out to Thomas Mallings, Neil Newstead, Callum King, Bruno Costa just joined the feed, so they're watching the racing with us now.
Callum King,
absolutely, real world racer. Good to hear. Good to see
nice
him
one.
watching. And Neil Newstead, ex-mini challenge racer, known Neil for a long while. He's a great guy.
Excellent, great stuff. As through goes Damien Hall, makes the move there. So Damien Hall in the 246 car, making a little bit of progress up the field. Our Barbadian, he was the first Barbadian to qualify for international sim racing. He's in the white, blue with yellow trim car, just up ahead at the moment of James Merrills. And the name of the programme is still, it eludes me, but it'll come back to me in about half an hour's time. Death in Paradise, that's the one.
Not a programme that I
still
think,
doesn't ring a bell with Anthony.
No.
It's probably an age thing. I'm older than you, Anthony.
Not that much older.
So anyway, that's the thought. Barbadian police, I know it's not Barbados, but hey. Out front, it is still Dave Marshall, 2.2 seconds clear on that last lap ahead of Tobin Lee, who muscled his way past Josh Hislop. Josh still in 7th place, so a good recovery from Josh. Jack MacIntyre in 3rd place. So the top real-world racing driver class at the moment is Max Coates in 4th. Josh Martin is in 5th place, still with fastest lap. Well done, Josh. Good stuff from him. Then it is Josh Hislop. Lewis Brown 7th. Lewis, our focus driver for this race, and there he is in the yellow, black and white car chasing Josh Hislop. Runs a little bit wide again, going on to... Now, was that part of the old rallycross circuit here at Brands? I don't think it was about there. Might have been actually if you were going around the other way.
No, just Lewis making the new rallycross circuit.
You're probably right, yeah, and he would do well at it, as with many of these drivers who are good at multi-discipline racing. Brands was a super rallycross circuit back in the day. We had some real good. They used to do the Grand Prix, Rallycross Grand Prix, back in probably the mid-1980s, and it was an event after all the circuit racing was done for the Winter Championships, which ran into November, which I think is what real world racing will be like this year. And then you got into December, and you have one more absolutely bitter cold freezing weekend, which was the Rallycross Grand Prix at Brands Hatch. But I don't think they've got the ability to run that anymore with the layout.
Maybe you are quite a bit older than me, Richard.
Yeah, just proved it there.
A bit of action here. Is this Scott Jeffs?
It is the Scott Jeffs right in the mix there as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Challenging Tom Williams at the moment. Ethan Hammerton immediately ahead of them. So Scott Jeffs having a decent go. Loses out a little bit as they come now into clearways, clattering over the curbs. And down behind them, it's Rue Clark in 18th position, having a good race. Tom O'Farrell behind them, and then Alex Toth-Jones in 20th place. Alex, one of the championship front runners, 5th position in the championship coming into this race, so not the result he wanted. But having said that, Alex might have a mirror of what happened at Donington, because his worst race was race 1, 15th, and then had 10th, 4th and 2nd, so a podium for him in race 3. So maybe things will pan out that way once again. This is on board, as it were, with Rob Butler. Rob using the Logitech G290 wheel and pedals and playseat rig. Single screen. Many of the drivers have multiple screens or curved screens, but Rob's just running a single one. And I make the statement that he's using Logitech just to tell my son that these drivers do. He's got the same equipment as these drivers, and he doesn't need anything else.
Keep that budget under control. That was a great move from Rob there.
Wasn't it?
Nice and clean overtaking move there into turn 2.
Yep, Graham Hill bend and up into 11th position for Rob Butler. Luke Kidsley is there right behind him as well. You can see Jordan Brennan in the mix as well as they come out of Clark Curve onto the Brabham straight, tick off another lap. Now, the one thing I haven't kept my eye on is the time. We've got 3 minutes 50 plus 1 lap remaining. Quick check on the timing. Josh Martin still with fastest lap. Is he going to hang on to that, Anthony? It's a good effort from him, setting that early on.
Well, I would have thought with the degradation on tyres, you would have thought that overall he's got a pretty good chance of keeping that fastest lap for sure.
Max Coates 4 tenths down on Jack MacIntyre at the moment as we watch Luke Kidsley trying to close down on Jordan Brennan. Jordan in the white car with the Union flag atop of the roof, just about to go into Surtees, and then chased by Rob Butler, who's trying to get in the mix with him, and then it is Matt Richards in the blue number 4 car. The lead still 2.2 seconds between Dave Marshall and Tobin Lee, the 2 sim lads out front, and holding on to it. And the 74 machine has a little nibble down the inside line as they go through Paddock Hill Bend, and Luke Kidsley will sense him there, and a little bit of door handling between the two, and Rob Butler forces his way through. That was, I know people don't like the word, but it was a robust piece of racing, and Rob Butler goes through. Another nice pass from Mr. Butler.
He's certainly on a bit of a mission. I think if he perhaps had got a bit better track position earlier on, he could have made some serious progress.
Yeah, good stuff from Rob, but now he's got a train of, or a duo right behind him. We're keen to get the place back. He comes out wide. That's the proper thing to do there if you're on an optimum lap, but not as wide as he could have done. And that was really just to keep that door partially closed as he went into clearways. And that's worked for him. He's got a couple of car lengths as they cross the line between himself and Luke Kidsley, who's chasing. Luke Kidsley now coming under pressure from Matt Richards right behind him at the moment. So, and there's the proof of that. Up the inside line goes Matt Richards in blue, barges his way through. Kidsley's got the line coming down into Graham Hill Bend though, and reclaims the position. Richards might get a bit more momentum and have a nibble as they go into Surtees at the end of Cooper Straight. Kidsley just momentarily covering it slightly, coming through. But this is great use of Rob Butler, because these two engaging in battle, of course, are going to slow each other up.
That switch around is just absolutely typical of Brands Hatch, isn't it? You get the move at Druids, but you don't really quite make it stick, and then your competitor comes back down on the inside down at Graham Hill.
1 minute 17 plus 1 lap to go in our opening of 4 races here on the Brands Hatch Indy circuit for the official Mini Challenge eSeries with Virtual Reality Racing Club. Our second weekend of racing action. Through shot went Theo, Bridgeman, Williams. They're getting into some traffic now, some of the front runners, and that is going to add another dimension. We didn't really get that scenario at Donington being a longer lap, but this being a much tighter circuit. It's going to happen as we see Max Coates still there at the moment, running in 4th place. So Max has got traffic to deal with. I don't think a challenge for podium is going to be on for him, because we've only got that just over half a minute plus that 1 more lap to go, and it's going to be Dave Marshall extending the championship lead. It is still Josh Martin with fastest lap, and apologies for harping on about that, but it's an extra 6 points for the man in 5th place. 5th position will give him 34 points, plus the 6 takes him up to 40. It effectively equals a 3rd place finish points wise here for Josh Martin if he retains fastest lap. But look at this, Luke Kidsley looking around the outside line of Matt Richards once again. And
yeah, these two are locked in battle, aren't they?
Yeah, super battle between the pair of them, and it is for 11th position at the moment. So Richards the man out front. The clock has wound down, and it is Dave Marshall on his final lap in the 66 car who's going to rack up a 3rd win in the official Mini Challenge eSeries here at Brands Hatch. Here he is up at Druids for the last time. Dave Marshall clear. He's kept the gap to around about 2.2 seconds over Tobin Lee. We wait to see whether there's going to be any judicial on the Tobin Lee Josh Hislop incident, and we can we're in the advantageous position to be able to ask him about that in the interview as soon as we can get hold of him, which is good. But Marshall's still there. Tobin Lee 2nd. Jack MacIntyre is in 3rd. Max Coates, the top real-world driver, ahead of Josh Martin. So we've got 3 sim lads and then 3 real-world racers as Dave Marshall comes across the line to take the win here at Brands Hatch. Win at number 3 wins out of 5 races. Tobin Lee in 2nd place from Jack MacIntyre. That was a good little race to get us underway here, Anthony.
It was. It was actually really quite clean for Brands Hatch standards, and certainly quite clean compared to some of the incidents that we saw at Donington. So it was a solid, a professional, and still very interesting first race. Looking forward to some more excitement later on.
Absolutely right. So the drivers, as per the real world, have to do themselves a slowing down lap, and then they'll come into a virtual Parc Ferme, and that will give us a chance to have a little catch up with them. And I'm just going to jot down our top 3 so that we've got a record of that as the day goes through.
Just whilst you're doing that, a quick shout out on Facebook to Nigel Bladen. I think that's probably Max Bladen, who used to race in the Mini Challenge, his father. Great to see you've joined us to watch, and also Simon Belcher as well. I think that's probably the ex-touring car driver.
It is. Possible. Hello, Simon. Hope the family are well. Michelle and Kenzie, hope they're keeping well too. It's good to have you on board today. It's, as you can see, the car's into their Parc Ferme, not the traditional Parc Ferme. They are on track. So, without further ado, let's whiz down there. We'll do it 3, 2, 1, and say welcome and well done. 3 wins now for Dave Marshall. Dave, are you there?
I am indeed.
Congratulations, Dave. Another fine drive. Well done on pole position and the win. And that sort of replicated what we saw you do at Donington Park, which was nice controlled start and a controlled race too. How's that? How do you see it?
Yeah, I think I actually said the same thing at Donington. I said quali was key at Donington, but after racing Brands Indy, there's even for me less overtake positions. So I knew quali to put it on pole was almost a must, really. And then didn't really have to go too defensive within the first lap, which allowed us to get the gap and just held the gap, really.
Well done. We were taking the mickey a little bit in the commentary, saying that you're probably doing this all day. Is that right?
You mean that I was doing it all day today?
No, every day during the week to practice.
I'll probably put in about 300 laps, to be fair. So yeah, I've put in the graft.
But you have to put the work in, don't you? Whatever discipline it is, you have to do it. And I know you're good at all sorts of different disciplines. We'll probably chat to you a little bit later on. I'm sorry to seem to cut you short, but just want to make sure we get the interviews in with all 3 drivers. Well done on the win. Let's have a quick word, if he's here, with Tobin Lee. Tobin, well done for 2nd place.
Thank you.
I want to talk about that move that we saw in Josh Hislop, and we were speculating whether that might go to the Clark. Bit forceful. It looked like a robust challenge.
Yeah, to be honest, I think on these sims, there's a lot of dependency on the internet connection and netcode and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And from perspective, Josh's car, I wasn't actually trying to go for a move. Like, I'm not sure if you saw before, but I was very happy working with him to move away and keep with Dave as much as possible. But coming out of the first corner, his car just slowed down quite rapidly, which caused me to what probably looked like an aggressive move onto the inside. And then I drove past and suddenly his car was off, basically. And it was quite, it wasn't the best thing to see in the race. So I'm going to have to look over all the different views after this to work out what happened, but it was bizarre. So, yeah.
Well done. There was no answer for Dave Marshall, though, really, was there? Once he seemed to maintain that about 2.1, 2.2 second lead.
Yeah, exactly. I think his pace, our race paces were actually very, very similar once we got on our own, but obviously similar isn't enough when you're trying to beat a guy. So yeah.
For sure. Great words, mate. Well put. Thank you very much for that. We'll see you for race 2, and we'll have a quick word with the man in 3rd position. Once again on the podium, Jack MacIntyre. Cracking race, fella.
Thank you. Yeah, that was tough. There was so much pressure from Max for the whole race, and I think I maybe cooked my tyres quite early on, so that was tricky. It didn't seem too eventful, but that was very, very.
If you get to watch it back, we were sort of saying, your results seem to be the most consistent. If we were looking at it on a graph, you could start to draw a line because, another podium for you here in 3rd. Your other results, Donington 4th, 8th, and 6th. So you've not finished lower than 8th, and you're the one that sort of stands out as the ever present in the top 10 of the championship. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that just comes down to having done sim racing and raced in a lot of leagues over the years. It's all about consistency. Even if you're the fastest guy on the track, if you don't finish half the races, then you've got no chance of winning. So, just trying to get some points on the board in every race.
Well done. Thanks for chatting to us and coming through into our virtual Parc Ferme. We look forward to seeing you back on the podium a little bit later on. So that was our top 3. Dave Marshall, the race winner. Tobin Lee second, Jack McIntyre. Actually, before they go, I've been totally rude. Apologies to Anthony Williams. Do you want to have a word with any of those, Anthony? Thanks, fella. They're in the pit lane. Lewis Brown, can we grab a quick chat with Lewis? Lewis, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi Lewis. How are you? Richard and Anthony here in the comms box.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Tell us about your race. It was 7th position, so you were, I think, 4th in the real world races. But I'm hearing you might have to go to work next week. Is that right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I'm gonna have to be missing the next round. Yeah, got work next week. Dad needs me at work, so yeah.
Can you not,
unfortunately, that.
Can you not get Daniel Abs to substitute for you?
Maybe. No, it's a shame because I'm really enjoying it as well. I'm just starting to get the hang of the whole like sim racing, like the driving style of it. So it's sort of a shame, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. But hopefully, you can sort of come back and do maybe a couple more rounds.
Yeah, tell your dad he's being mean. He needs to let you do it. Give you a couple of hours off.
He'll be watching, so yeah, I'll let him know.
Now we need you on track. It's always good to see you. And thanks for laughing at the Daniel Ab joke. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you.
No problem.
We'll catch you a little bit later on, mate. And well, the top 10, of course, get reversed for race 2, which means that Rob Butler. How crucial, Anthony, was that move that Rob Butler did on? It was Luke Kidsley, wasn't it, to get up into 10th place? He's now on pole for the partial reverse grid.
Really solid result, and yeah, robust moves, but he made them stick, and absolutely that gives him a great opportunity for race 2.
So he'll be lining up at the front with Jordan Brennan, who was 9th, so that's the front row. Rob Butler and Jordan Brennan. Max Bird on row 2 with Lewis Brown, the driver that we just heard from. So Lewis will be back out on track, and that's row 2. Row 3, Josh Hislop and Josh Martin. I've lost my graphic, but I think Josh maintained the fastest lap there. So great results for him. And then row 4, Max Coates and Jack McIntyre, again, who we just heard from. And then row 5, Tobin Lee and Dave Marshall. The reverse grids, of course, will really sort out who can come through and make progress. But Dave Marshall extending his lead. So just having a look at Tobin Lee, 141 to 162. I don't think that's enough for Tobin to go into the 2nd position in the championship. Let's just have a quick look and try and work that out. So Tobin got P2, which was 44, and Josh Hislop was 7th, which is 14 points. So no, not quite enough at the moment for Tobin to grab 2nd in the championship. But if it carries on that way, he could take 2nd position by the end of the day, because we've got the 4 races to go. So Anthony, I'm going to ask you, what's your prediction with Butler, Brennan, Bird, and Brown? Very alliterative front 2 rows for race 2. Who do you think is going to take the flag?
Well, I think the sim races in the last race really did seem to show their class. So I think you've got to still give it to one of those guys. Possibly Dave Marshall again, frankly, or possibly Josh Hislop. But otherwise, in terms of the real world races, I think I've got a fancy Lewis for this one.
He's quite handily placed, isn't he? In P4 on the grid in this one, so could well be in with a shout. So we'll see how that pans out as we count down towards the start of our 2nd race of our 2nd race meeting of the season here. Race 2 due to get underway very shortly. Cars on the grid here on the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch. Reversed grid position, then we go through the whole thing once again with qualifying. There will be a little break so that we get what we call was it a biology break we call it?
I think that's how I described it last time, Richard, yes.
And a chance to replenish water and supplies and things like that in our virtual commentary boxes. I'm actually based down in South London. The sun's out here. It's a glorious day. I hope you're going to enjoy a little bit of the garden as we are underway here at Brands Hatch for our 2nd race. And a cracking start. And it's that man who came through, showed his pace in race number 1, getting up into the top 10. Rob Butler leads them away. Jordan Brennan is in 2nd as they come up into Druids for the first time. Butler at the front, though. Let's have a look a little bit further back. We've got Callum Newsham in the mix there as well. Are they going to be better behaved as they come down into Graham Hill Bend for the big sort out on lap number 1 here? It looks like they are this time. Let's just wait till they get through Graham Hill Bend as well. Yeah, I think they've all probably just about learned from that. That was a nice, classy start from the ball. Butler looks a little bit wiggly there as Jordan Bear Brennan starts to put a little bit of pressure on. So Brennan in P2 at the moment, and there they go across the line to tick off lap 1, all behaving themselves well, and a good battle on for the lead, Anthony.
No, it's really exciting at the front there and all the way down the field, to be honest. But they're all keeping it together, and it's really exciting. Really good to see that.
It is super stuff. Around the outside line there goes Alex Toth-Jones, looking to, again, as I said, mirror what he did at Donington, hopefully get the bad race out of the way first of all, and start to move through the field. He's looking to make a little bit of progress. You see varying lines, defensive and otherwise, as they go along Cooper Straight. Surtees, McLaren now down in towards Clearways, as looking round the outside line of Max Bird now is in P2. Jordan Brennan tucks back in, so this has been a good start from Max Bird.
Very solid. Now it's great news. I'm sure his mother Sarah is going to be shouting at the screen, saying, "Go on, Max! Go on, Max!"
Absolutely right. I think it's got an opportunity here to do what Dave Marshall did in race number 1. Rob Butler has, to start to move away whilst they squabble over second. Down the inside line now goes Jordan Brennan. So Jordan Brennan makes it through. Cracking scrap there. As then it's Josh Hislop who's coming through. Remember, Josh from 7th in race number 1 takes to the grass. He will try and challenge to get up onto a podium here and get back into the swing of things. But it's Rob Butler, the leader, 1.2 seconds. A little bit of a wobbly moment from Max Bird. That's going to leave the door open here for Hislop to come through on the inside line. If Hislop can get a decent run out of Clark Curve onto the Bradman Straight, side by side. Bird gets a little bit more momentum, maintains the position. If that was the checker, then it would have been Bird that took the position. But the door, of course, is open as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. And Josh Hislop goes through and makes the position his. We've got Jack MacIntrye coming up to join this group as well. MacIntrye, remember, on the podium in race number 1, and he could well be on for a double podium here, looking very quick at the moment. He's on the outside line there at the minute, chasing Josh Hislop. Goes very wide indeed, but making good progress through the order in the early stages of this race too.
Jack MacIntyre is like a silent assassin. You called him the dark horse. I think silent assassin is. Oh, incident there between Max Coates and Max Bird. So they've all maxed out.
They have indeed. Rob Butler's got the fastest lap of the race so far as well. The race leader, he's got clear track, he's got his head down. He wants to get his first official mini challenge E-Series with Virtual Reality Racing Club win under his belt. Fastest lap if he can hang on to it. There is Josh Martin, 89, the green machine. Fastest man in race number 1. Picked up the points for that. He's just busy chasing Max Coates at the moment through Druids. So, yeah, really good start. 1.1 seconds. The lead from Butler, Brennan, Hislop. Bird down in 16th position now. So Josh Hislop 3rd, then Jack MacIntyre, Max Coates in 5th. Coates is looking consistent now as well, isn't he? Up into 5th position in this reverse grid race. And Dave Marshall, again, a repeat of what we saw at Donington, hasn't made any progress at the moment, up from 10th on the grid. Remains in 10th position. So we look at Ryan Elliott in the number 2, the youngster from Stockton on Tees, trying to make up some progress here as Lewis Brown comes under a little bit of pressure here from Matt Richards, looking at the outside line with Ryan Elliott in behind, and Elliott trying to go for the gap that was very nearly there. He anticipated that well, so too did the car that was challenging him, or that he was challenging, cutting across and taking the circuit space away from him. But this is very close to brought indeed. 4 cars, 5 cars, 6 cars all battling together. Little inset moment at Theo Bridgeman Williams, who is our featured driver in this one, so hopefully we'll be able to have a chat with Theo as well.
There's certainly some action here, isn't there, Richard?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so indeed.
Lewis got a little bit mugged up at Druids, but he seems to be fighting back again.
He is coming back. Ryan Elliott getting at the forefront of that group at the moment. So Elliott showing in 8th position, all changing around. It's Jordan Brennan now with fastest lap. So Rob Butler's been close for fastest lap by the chaser, Jordan Brennan in P2. And apparently Jordan won his dad Mick a track day at Rockingham, which they never managed to get to take, because Rockingham's a glorified car park now, isn't it?
It certainly is. There's a lot of vehicles stuck in the car park at Rockingham and even elsewhere in the event in the circuit.
Yeah, it's a big shame. It's a wonderful circuit on its day. The touring car events in particular, when you had loads of crowds there, generated a fair bit of atmosphere. And again, you could see the whole track.
That's the great thing about the Rockingham circuit.
Yeah, it's a big shame, but hopefully, while it's there, there's always hope, I guess, that it may well come back. But for a natural amphitheatre, which is, of course, the antithesis of Rockingham, you cannot beat the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. This circuit, which runs the contours of the land, the only other circuits that do so, I think, with such dramatic effects, probably Knock Hill and Anglesey, if you've been to Anglesey circuit as well. It's a great track, but really do have some great undulations here as Tom Williams explores the outside line. Williams trying to move up into 11th place, dicing with Scott Jeffs, and still Butler leading. The gap's come down though, and Scott Brennan has got the gap down to 8 tenths, so he's taken 3 tenths out of Rob Butler. Although it's still wavering between the gap between the second and 9 tenths. Josh Hislop still in third, and then Jack MacIntyre fourth from Max Coates. But fascinating stuff as we look at Tom O'Farrell in the mix there with Damien Hall, the Death in Paradise fans, looking to try and go down the inside line side by side. And he's going to cross the line, doesn't quite get the position, but he's got the line coming into Paddock Hill Bend to nip down the inside line of the Scotsman. They tag, have a little bit of a moment, I've got to say, held on to it well, but then up comes Frankie Taylor just to give him a little tap. Frankie manages to carry on. I think Frankie got his first points in race number 1, which was good. That was an interesting little battle going on between those two, and just got a little bit close and taking each other off as we ride with Max Bird, 15th position, and busy challenging Tobin Lee. Tobin's dropped back here, much further back than we would expect to see him, and Tobin busy challenging Alex Toth-Jones, who has had a much better race here. Alex up into 13th, so gradually working his way up the order. If he can put a good qualifying together for race 2, he'll be on for some decent points once again.
I think that's what it's going to be all about, isn't it, Richard? Just keep collecting those points, which is why our silent assassin, Jack MacIntyre, could end up being someone to watch out for.
Absolutely right. Now, what is it I said about Dave Marshall? I said, he's having a similar pattern to Donington Park, and he's proving me wrong now. The championship leader, fastest lap, 49.811. He's up into 7th place. Watching Isaac Smith now. Isaac has a little bit of contact there and takes a wide line here. This might be about a run on the inside line, possibly to... No, it's a defensive line from the guy in front, Kim Economy, of course, one of your regular drivers as well, Keir, in the green car. Held on well there, did Keir?
Certainly did. And it's interesting to see that the non-JCW drivers are still doing a solid job.
They are. Yeah, Keir's doing a super job.
Talking of that, where's Josh Martin?
Josh Martin at the moment 6th position, so he's got the championship leader behind him, Dave Marshall.
Okay, yes, still another solid result. I couldn't see him on the timing sheet there, but so Josh again, yes, another solid result, looking like it's on the cards in race 2. So it's good for him.
Absolutely right. Kim Economy podium finisher last year in Cooper S as well, so no slouch in terms of the real world racing. But having said that, gets a little bit of contact, had a wee slide, gets it all back on track, and we'll try and rejoin and get back in the thick of things. As we see, there is Josh Martin in the 89 car, and Dave Marshall a little way behind him. So as they come up here is Josh running in 6th place, and then Dave Marshall will come into shot. There he is, just at the apex of Druids there. Butler from Brennan now 2.3 seconds. It's going to be keen, isn't it? If it stays like this with half the race to go, we're going to get 2 debut podium finishes, which will be very, very good indeed, with Butler, Brennan and Hislop. And where's Tobin Lee down in 15th, just checking the championship points. But Dave Marshall here doing what he needs to do in these reverse grid races. It may be 7th position for Dave Marshall, but that's very good points. And as long as you're not going backwards, as long as you're not dropping out of the top 20, that's going to be enough for him to maintain his championship lead.
Yeah, you would have thought so. It's a solid drive from him again, and he really just seems to have that maturity and experience to keep grinding out the results.
Battle on for second, and up into second now goes Josh Hislop. So Hislop relegates Scott Brennan down into third. Jack MacIntyre now challenging for third place, is about to have a look at the inside line as they go into Surtees. Is he going to be able to pull this one off? Jordan Brennan holds on to it at the moment. The Liquid Molly Northcott car still there. Was fastest lap earlier on in the race. Fastest lap still with Dave Marshall, incidentally, as they come off Clark Curve. And now onto the Bradham Straight. Still Butler, who is out front with a very good lead still of 2.9 seconds. Josh Hislop in P2, and of course with him on the podium we'll be able to get his take on the incident with Tobin Lee. But I've got to say, I thought Tobin articulated extremely well in that interview. So down into Graham Hill Bend they go, and it is a battle for third position now at the moment, with Jack MacIntyre putting the pressure on Scott. You can see they've lost out. Scott having to go defensive. He's got no other option at the moment, and that's going to allow Josh Hislop to try and have a go at Rob Butler out front. Jack MacIntyre, though, forced to look at the outside line. Is that going to give him a better run along the straight? Jordan Brennan sticks to the inside line, defensive, comes out wider to get something of a run down into Paddock Hill Bend, and let's see whether he can maintain third place. He does. MacIntyre still trying to close him down. This is a super battle. It would be worth the money to watch this battle on a real race day for sure. This is for the last podium position. Theo Bridgeman Williams left of shot, our feature driver in this race, as I try and keep an eye on the battle for third. Good to see Theo there. Comes from Newmarket, West Suffolk. Saw him do a full season in the Fiesta, BRSCC Fiesta Championship in 2017, and had a podium, I think, on the seasonal debut. I'm not sure it was his race debut. It may well have been in Class A of the Fiestas. That was here at Brands Hatch, and he had a number of second places in Class A over the course of the year as well. So a good little driver is Theo Bridgeman Williams, and hopefully we'll have a little chat with him later on as Jordan Brennan continues to maintain that third place now, but makes a little mistake. That might be an example there of what we saw with a bit of computer or broadband or network lag we just saw, which is what Tobin Lee was talking about a little bit. But Jordan Brennan getting a little bit of a tap from Jack MacIntyre. Certainly nothing malicious in that. MacIntyre still in fourth and busy challenging for that third place. Josh Martin behind. Then it is Dave Marshall. Max Coates now 7th. Dave Marshall still with the fastest lap. And Jordan Brennan doing a very good job here. I think the other thing that we were talking about in the week was that all of our viewers and people following this, you might want to think about who your driver of the race is in this one. At the moment, I'm going to err towards Jordan Brennan here in the 98, because all right, he's lost a couple of positions, but he's defending so well at the minute, but leaves a little gap, and up the inside line goes Jack MacIntyre up into third place. Jordan Brennan, little mistake. That was the curse of the commentator, Anthony.
It's always the way, isn't it? pick somebody out, and then they end up losing it.
I still think he's driving a very good race here, and I'm thinking maybe Rob Butler as driver, and I forgot there's so much going on in these races that yeah, we do need to think about, and out there as well, if our viewers can think about who they would like to nominate for driver of each race and ultimately driver of the day. But Jordan Brennan doing a super job, but so too is Rob Butler again in this one. You know, he's out front, and
he's doing a Dave Marshall.
He is doing a Dave Marshall. It's absolutely spot on. Josh Hislop P2 trying to close him down to 1.2 seconds down. 5 minutes on the clock. Unless Rob Butler makes a mistake, he's not going to have time to close down on it. Jack MacIntyre 3rd, Jordan Brennan in 4th place, Josh Martin, then Dave Marshall in 6th. Dave Marshall from 7th to 6th ahead of Max Coates. That will give him an extra 2 points. Valuable championship points as we ride on board with the championship leader. And this is smooth. He knows he's got to keep finishing as well to keep that lead intact. And you know, the mindset we've seen, good stuff there from Josh Martin. Leaves the door open, but that was all about taking the racing line, wasn't it, through clearways?
No, it certainly was, and it's interesting here. Dave's got an opportunity to really rack up some more points. He's only got he's got 3 people ahead of him that really aren't that far ahead, with a little bit of time left on the clock. He could see himself on the podium again here.
He could well do that, and a good talker as well in his interviews. You know, a lot of drivers, you know, would think about oh my God, you know, going to be live on a microphone and so on and so forth. But none of them seem fazed by it, which is absolutely magnificent. And we've had, you know, thousands of people watching this. They probably haven't thought about that maybe, but it's a fair play to those that have had a chat with us so far. I've done a super job. So Dave Marshall still putting the pressure on. Max Coates at the back of that group, the white, yellow, and black car still in the mix, and we'll try and hunt down Dave Marshall, who's taking a wide line here again, trying to build up the momentum in the 66 car to see if he can have a go at Josh Martin. Martin now very much into challenging mode for Scott Brennan, who's at the head of that group.
And we've got a nice battle going on with this group, but also there's battles all the way down the field, bunching up into sort of groups of 5, 6, 7 cars. Again, always a feature of mini racing that happens, and particularly at Brands Hatch.
Absolutely right. We're looking at the battle there with Lewis Brown in the mix as well, in the left-hand pane on screen, as Josh Martin goes through, and now Jordan Brennan about to be passed by Dave Marshall, so another couple of points in the back in pocket here for Dave Marshall, who goes through, and Max Coates will be the next one. Jordan trying to fight back, he's taking a wide line here, so we could see Max nip up the inside line. Max Coates, this is the beauty of the reverse grid, because Jordan Brennan, who has not been far away from the pace at all, in fact none of the drivers are very far away from the pace, getting his opportunity to beat at the front is going to be very much building his experience and confidence, having A, set a fastest lap earlier on in the race, and B, you know, having held on to a good strong podium position for well over the first half of this race.
Yeah, I imagine it's just like the real world. You get that breakthrough race win, it gives you the confidence going forward for putting on you know, good fights for future races.
I would definitely agree with that, and we're going to see more and more confidence building as we go through our 8th weekend schedule. This weekend too. Next time we are at Silverstone on the national circuit. Toby Lee trying to make up some positions there. Purple car about to pass Tom Williams. He does so on the outside line. Williams on the grass, but Tobin has a little moment. Williams gets the position back, and Tobin Lee drops back down into 15th place. Alex Toth-Jones in that group as well. Lewis Brown in the mix as well as they come across the line. 2 minutes to go plus 1 lap to bring us to the halfway point of our second meeting of the season here for the Mini Challenge E-Series with Virtual Reality Racing Club. And it's been a good weekend so far. There's no question in my mind Dave Marshall is going to maintain the championship lead here as we watch now Max Coates getting stuck in again and having a great day. Still Dave Marshall with fastest lap incidentally here.
That's not going to hurt his championship points position as well.
No, that's right. He's 5th position on the road, which is 34, and well, it's another 6, but it's basically the same as Josh Martin in race 1. It equates to 3rd place points in this one. So only Rob Butler and Josh Hislop. Hislop will outscore him, and that's going to be a little bit of a worry, I think, to Dave Marshall, because Hislop is really the man who is challenging. He's 2nd position in the championship, so he's the man that can make the biggest dent. So that's really the driver, I guess, at this stage, very early on in the season, that Dave Marshall is going to be watching. Look at the contact there, Max Bird on the back end of Alex Toth-Jones, Lewis Brown up ahead of them, coming down Graham Hill into Graham Hill Bend, and then exiting that along Cooper Straight. There's Theo Bridgeman Williams in the 22 car. Theo at the moment in 19th position, not too far away from Isaac Smith, another ex-Fiesta driver, and down behind Theo at the moment is Thomas O'Farrell, another sim racer from Isla, having a good race as well. And those two playing a good game of cat now, so good to see Theo involved in the PBW Motorsport car. The 22-year-old has a manufacturing engineering degree gained at Coventry University, and enjoying his sim racing. Manufacturing engineer in the medical industry, so obviously going to be pretty busy at the moment. Has also raced in Classic Sports Car Club, Future Classics and XR Challenge, in addition to the Fiesta, BRSCC Fiesta Championship, which I know is looking forward to another great season. He raced in Class A, which was the original Fiesta class. They had 4 classes of Fiestas, but merged them all for last year for the ST and the SIs, the more modern cars. There are still classes for the older Classic Fiestas, but none of them ventured out last year, which was a pity. That was the class that Theo Bridgeman Williams originally raced in. The cars are on the final lap.
Just off camera there, Richard, we saw Josh Hislop take Rob Butler. So that lead came down very rapidly.
Great spot. So Josh Hislop now looking for his second win of the championship. Rob Butler down to P2, Jack MacIntyre in third. And let's see though, Rob Butler won't give up, and he's having a look. He's getting closer, not quite close enough to challenge because he's got Jack MacIntyre right with him on his rear bumper as they come out of Clark Curve. It's going to be Josh Hislop who's going to be very pleased with this. And this is how the reverse grid scenario works very well indeed. The man who was 7th in race number 1 takes the win here, Josh Hislop. Congratulations to the young Scot. It was Rob Butler who takes P2, Jack MacIntyre in 3rd place. 4th position has gone to Dave Marshall from 10th on the grid, bucking the trend from what he did at Donington Park, very nearly a podium. Theo Bridgeman Williams, you can see in our left-hand panel there, is coming through as well, and he's going to get another finish, I think. Just checking up on where Theo is. Theo Bridgeman in 19th place, so top 20 for him. How does that equate to? Okay, so he had one retirement last time out, and 22nd, 16th, 27th last time. So I think he might very well be pleased with his result here as they went across the line. But Josh Hislop does what he did in race number 2 at Donington Park by taking the reverse grid win from 7th position last time out.
It'll be interesting to hear what they have to say, actually, particularly Rob Butler and how the gap managed to come down. He had such a good lead.
Yeah, and we've got Jack MacIntyre on the podium again. Was it the Silent Killer?
Silent Assassin, I think,
Silent
is the name I've given him,
That's
whether he likes it or not.
Absolutely spot on. Great result from him. And Josh Martin, who is being very consistent as well with that 4th place. Max Coates getting some consistency as well. Was 4th in race number 1, is 5th in this one. And Jordan Brennan down in 6th place. Right, we're down in pit lane, our virtual Parc Ferme. Let's have a word with our race winner. Congratulations, 2nd win of the series to Josh Hislop. Well done, mate. Talk us through your race.
Thanks. It was a really tough race. Starting 6th and trying to come through the pack wasn't easy. Everybody put up a really good defence. And yeah, I was really lucky that I just managed to catch Rob at the end.
What was your take in race 1? There was a little bit of a coming together with yourself and Tobin. What was your take on that? We spoke to Tobin, and I thought he was pretty articulate and fair about it. But how do you feel about what happened in race 1?
Just a racing instant. I mean, I think we both had a little bit of lag, and yeah, it was just slight technical issue. But other than that, it was good, clean racing all the way through. And yeah, Tobin has been really clean in all the races, I think. So yeah, it's definitely just an act.
Top man, Josh, well done. And of course, you're keeping Dave Marshall in your sights points-wise with that win.
Yeah, it's great to get more good points on the board and just try and, yeah, get ahead.
Nice one, well done. We're going to move on. We'll catch up with you a little bit later. I'm sure we'll probably see you on the podium again before the end of the meeting. And 2nd position, cracking race in race 1, led most of the way. It's Rob Butler. Rob, well done on 2nd. What happened to lose the lead? You might need to push to talk as well, Rob. Doesn't look like we can get Rob at the moment, so we'll go on to the 3rd place man who's very familiar. So we'll come back to Rob Butler if we can get that sorted for you. But let's have a word with, 2nd time today, Jack MacIntyre, another P3. Well done, Jack.
Yeah, cheers. Would be nice to get something a little bit higher, but yeah, really happy with 3rd. Had a good start, got past a couple of cars on the first lap, and then just drove as best as I could. Made a few changes after the first race to try and help the tyres, and I think that worked. So I'll carry those into the next 2 races and hopefully get some more.
In the top 10, probably the driver who made the most progress. I think you started 8th, having finished 3rd in the last one, so double podium for you, and good solid progress, which you need to do. And Anthony Williams is now calling you the silent.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit sinister, but yeah, I'll take it as a.
Absolutely right. Great consistency, great speed, mate. Well done on third place. Let's see if we can grab Rob Butler in second. Rob, if you can hear us, don't forget to push the button to chat to us. But congratulations on second place. Doesn't look like we've got Rob there. We'll try and give him one more go. Rob Butler, second position. Can't hear Rob at the moment. That's a big shame, isn't it? Hopefully we'll catch up with him at some point. What I might do is, if we can, grab an interview with Rob and do a video interview in the week. I know we was talking to our production team about doing some interviews in the week. So, Rob, apologies that we can't get to talk to you now. We'll give it one more go if we can. If not, then we'll try and catch up with you by video in the week, and then we'll pop that into the programme next week. So, Rob Butler, P2, are you there? He's not there. He is there, but technical reasons we can't get his mic going, which is a shame. But Rob Butler finishing second in that one. A good race for him. Second position, Jack MacIntrye third. We heard from Josh Hislop, the race winner as well. Josh Martin, very consistent as well with fourth place. Max Coates in fifth from Jordan Brennan. Great result from him. I need to pick the brains of Anthony Williams here and say, driver of the day so far from either of the races? I think Anthony's maybe nipped off for a break as well. No. Anthony, just speculating. Yeah.
Podium interview room and had some noise in my ear that I couldn't
Okay,
move. So apologies for that.
That's okay, no problem at all. I was just wondering if you got any thoughts on driver of the day from the two races so far.
I think that there's so many drivers that put in some solid results there. So difficult to pick out a particular name, but I think in the real world, probably Josh Martin, just because he was there both times, fastest lap in the first race. So I'd probably go with Josh Martin for the real world. And in terms of the sim racing guys, I think it's ultimately got to be Dave Marshall again. He's just solid, isn't it?
Yeah, doing so well. Okay, let's have a word with our featured driver in that race. And having done the podium, Theo Bridgeman, are you there? Hi, Theo. Can't hear you at the moment.
Is that any better?
Got you now. Was it push to talk was the problem, maybe?
Yeah, that's no problem.
That's great. Well, thanks for joining us in our Parc Ferme environment here, and we did a little bit of a focus on you in that race. So I had the pleasure of commentating on you in the Fiesta Championship a few years ago, and great to see that you're still out racing. And just tell us about how you're enjoying the championship so far.
Yeah, it's really good so far. It's really, really professionally run, which is nice. Obviously, any issues are sorted out really quickly. It was a sort of as if it was a real, a real racing series. There's a proper club, of course. You can submit protests if there are any, etc. Which is, it just means that the racing is taken really seriously, but obviously it's still really good fun. So it's a perfect balance of that, really, I think.
That's good to hear. And I was reading on your profile that you're a manufacturing engineer in the medical industry. So I guess these are very busy times for you just now.
Yeah, so I work with medical robotics. So it's not, obviously, we haven't got the rush making face masks and things like that, just for various reasons. But it's never a busy day, never a quiet day in medical, really, is it? People, unfortunately, always get sick, and obviously we need to try and make that a bit better.
Do you still have the Fiesta that you raced with us in 2017?
Yeah, I can't bring myself to get rid of it. It's not competitive in a huge amount, which is a shame, but I just can't bring myself to get rid of it. I absolutely love that car. But yeah, still got it.
Okay, yeah, you got a podium here, I think, in 2017. You was third place. Was that your first race?
Yeah, first race with the Fiestas. Yeah, that was definitely an interesting afternoon.
And then you backed that up with quite a lot of second places over the course of the year as well. And there were a fair number of drivers, out in Class A back then. So that was a good achievement for your debut year.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it was a really good, really enjoyable. It was really close, clean racing, which is always fun. And it's nice, obviously, to get the slightly older Fiestas on the track as well.
Well, excellent. It's great to hear from you. Nice to have had that little bit of focus on you. And we'll keep our eye on you over the course of the series and hopefully see you get up onto the podium at some point. So enjoy the short break that we've got coming up, and we'll see you for race 3 a little bit later on. Thanks very much, Theo Bridgeman. And are we nearly into break time now? So 2 races done so far for you here at Brands Hatch with the championship. Dave Marshall taking race 1 from Tobin Lee, Jack MacIntrye and Max Coates. Race 2 won by Josh Hislop with Rob. And and Josh Martin in 4th position, race 2. Join us a little bit later on when we will have the qualifying session for races.
When the lights go out at the start of the race, it's an absolute fight, dogfight from start to finish.
It's in my blood, it's a passion. I train every day for it. It's just a different feeling. It's where you feel most comfortable.
The nerves actually kick in. It's when you pull up on the grid and they give the 30-second board. But as soon as you get off around that first corner, that's it. The nerves all go and it's man on the mission then trying to win the race.
I think the one thing about racing that is quite unique from other sports is that feeling that you get. A lot of drivers talk about this zone or whatever you want to call it, but it's that feeling where everything sort of clicks when you're in the car. Or motorsport finance is key to anyone that wants to progress and key to anyone who wants to get started. And so I wouldn't be here if it wasn't because of the support that you give sponsorship wise, but I also wouldn't be here if it wasn't because of the support that you give as a company financially wise and the help that you can give to drivers like myself.
It's all working as a team, and it works out both ways.
In motorsport, there's so many variables, and if anything goes wrong, your whole weekend can fall apart. To compete at a high level, for me, is the dream. And right now, I'm going up against the best Mini Cooper drivers in the UK at the moment.
Minis, it's like a massive family. I know on the track sometimes we get heat in a moment, but deep down I think we're all here for each other.
It's a mountain. When you start that journey in motorsport, it's like Mount Everest. And you want to get to that top. And you want to get to the top of the flagpole on the top of Mount Everest.
Credo have been a massive help to me. They helped me buy the car. They've helped me with a personal sponsor.
And they can build a package around your needs. If you want to race Kinetics, if you want to race minis, they can build that around you.
It's not just the finance on the race cars, it's the equipment, it's the vehicles, it's the trailers, which is the whole package to getting the actual race car to the circuit.
You know, Credo come to all of my races. You know, I think they get more nervous than I do sometimes. You know, they're a financial company, but they're more than that, and they're there to get you on that grid and to support you from start to finish. So it's great to have Credo here for every weekend that we do. But you know, it's what they do. They create that personal connection, like I say, from that first meeting. And whatever it will be, if you are racing, then they'll come and they'll watch and they'll be there through thick and thin.
And we are away here at Stetterton. Gordon bounces there. Gordon goes into the back of Harrison, doesn't get this one. And he throws the car in. Harrison wins. Palmer second. Gordon third. Got a car on the grass, several cars off. Helot's getting tagged and he's out of the race. And off on the grass. Harrison takes the win. It's going to be Gordon's championship by my mathematics.
My name's Rich Hayden. I own Virtual Reality Racing Club. We're here at Goodwood Festival of Speed. I'm here with Purple Sector Performance, which is a race driver training, all levels, club championship, all the way up to Le Mans level. What we do is we help them out with race simulation and driver coaching, and we do that using our SimRace Pro simulators, which you see behind me. They're really high-level simulation. We use virtual reality to make sure that the immersion for the driver is as best as it could be, and giving them the accuracy to be able to follow the right lines and be as accurate with their driving style as they can be. One of the things we use with that is the HTC Vive Pro headset with a real high resolution. It's fantastic for driver training. It's the only way to drive a racing simulator. The average speed improvement or time improvement for a driver, a pro driver, going from screens to VR, is minimum is 1 second a lap, and the average is anywhere between 1.5 and 2 seconds per lap.
Back to the second half of our second weekend of the official mini challenge eSeries with Virtual Reality Racing Club. Richard, John, Neil with you in the commentary box, and virtually alongside me, giving you a very safe distance, I hasten to add, is Anthony Williams.
Hello again, Richard.
Hello, and a short break. Actually, quite a marathon broadcast. I didn't realise we were on for, I don't know, was it 3 hours or something last week? So it's a fair old little bit of talking to do, particularly around lunchtime. I know there was catering arrangements to sort out last time, but I've looked after myself today. Did you look after yourself today? I had to look after myself today, although some fresh water was brought up, so that was useful.
I have got an assistant who's going to be bringing me a bite to eat at some point. Unfortunately, it's not arrived on time for our break.
Well, when it comes to the annual appraisal, you know what to do.
Indeed. But she has just promised me a nice apple tart tatin for dessert this evening, so I can't really complain.
Well, that sounds rather good, doesn't it? Yeah, excellent.
Looking forward to it.
Well, the icing on the cake as far as the drivers are concerned was for Dave Marshall. He's extending his championship. I've done some provisional maths in the break, probably not making the best use of the break, but I reckon Dave Marshall now on 268. This is very unofficial, so don't have a go at me, everybody out there that's watching it. But Dave Marshall 268 points, I think now, 24 points clear of Josh Hislop, who is in second. Tobin Lee, I reckon, drops to third. He's down to 206, and that means that the silent assassin, I love that, Jack MacIntyre is up into third position in the championship with 217, and fifth is Josh Martin, who's climbing up as well from 7th in the table coming into the meeting. Very provisional, just gives you a little bit of a flavour of what we've done. We've had some other good high scorers. Ryan Elliott scored well. Obviously, Rob Butler scored well with a podium, and we will try and catch up with Rob a little bit later on. So those drivers as well. Apologies if I missed anybody out, but it's very difficult to go through 30 plus drivers and work out what they've scored in each race. You've either got to do it manually, which is what I'm doing here, or alternatively you've got to put in 35 scores twice plus fastest lap plus, but in the break it's just we don't have time to do that. Normally at the real racetrack we would have TSL who look after all that sort of thing for us, Timing Systems Limited. Clearly it's not appropriate to have that system in place, but we've given it our best shot as we go into the second qualifying session of the day, and it is Jack Mack who sets the fastest early flyer, 49.7 seconds. And Josh Hislop is there again, 49.7 in second place. This session's got to settle down a little bit. But a really good pair of opening races, I thought, Anthony.
Cracking races, absolutely, and really interesting dicing between various different groups of cars throughout the race, and some new people getting some good results too. So it's always good to see some new people on the podium.
Hopefully that will carry through here into a second half of our meeting as well. It's going to be interesting to see now whether the question here is whether Dave Marshall can hold on to his 100% record of pole position qualifying, and I'm just having a look to see whether he's ventured out yet to do one. He's yes, he has, all the way down, so it's Jack MacIntyre still out front at the moment from Josh Hislop. It'll be interesting to see those two racing together in this one as we go through. In third place at the moment, a driver we haven't seen very much of in terms of being up at the sharp end. He was in our test race earlier on, which was the week before last, and that's Isaac Smith. But you're probably wondering why there's a graphic for Simon Reed on the screen, and that's because Simon is the third of our featured drivers today, having had a word with Lewis Brown in race number 1 and Theo Bridgeman in race 2. And Simon, the driver that we're going to be looking at over the course of race 3 today in the 35 car. Simon using a Logitech G27 wheel and pedals and a Race Room RR3055 rig, and that comes with he's got an HTC VR screen in terms of his setup, because I think I neglected to say who was using what as we got towards the end of the race. You just get into the group and think of it as a normal race, which is absolutely superb. That's not superb. Lewis Brown going off. There is Lewis, runs in the Lawrence Davey racing outfit in the real world, and here's one. I was talking to you about Lawrence Davey last time, Anthony, and the other thing when we got past Lawrence having some teething problems in racing. Real strong character, very quick racer, great team, and we always used to refer to the Davey lamp that used to light up the track. That's corny, isn't it?
It'd be interesting to see how many of our viewers had a little chuckle at that.
I don't suppose many people know what a Davey lamp is these days, but
no.
But no, Lawrence Davey, a good lad, quick peddler, and great to see that he's going to be back out with you guys again this year. Oh, something's going very wide there.
That was extremely wide.
I think they hit the reset button as well by the look of it. Probably quite rightly. The drivers aren't allowed to do that in race mode, particularly at the end of the race. There is a temptation to, once the race is finished, just to sort of click the off button or the reset, but they do have to replicate what happens in the real world, which is to come around on the slowing down lap and do a virtual wave to the fans and the marshals, but also then to join us on the grid, which, as you've seen, I think it's a lovely touch that the organisers have done here to do that. Let's have a quick look at the timing screen. Jack Mack still there, Josh Hislop P2, Tobin Lee in third, looking to score a few points back going into race 3. Isaac Smith fourth, good to see Isaac back up at the sharp end, and now popping in the laps is Dave Marshall, so he's 5th quickest at the moment from Josh Martin in 6th position, Callum Newsham 7th, and then it's Ryan Elliott in car 2. There's a picture of Theo Bridgeman, who is now he's Newmarket in West Sussex. Is there another one that I don't know about?
Was that Newmarket, West Suffolk?
West Sussex, yeah. It's supposed
Sussex?
to be.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's in Sussex, but it's West Suffolk, isn't it, Newmarket?
I would have thought so, yeah. I mean, that's quite close to me, actually, just down the road, really.
Ah, okay. So he might be a customer for you very shortly.
Maybe.
That would be good. A good lad is Theo. Looks where he is. Look forward to seeing what he can do in this one. And did well in the 2 races that we've had so far. He was aiming to get up into the top 20 of the championship. Race 4 feature driver, by the way, is Craig Tibbins, we're looking for.
Mr. Marshall's asserting his dominance once again.
He is, isn't he? Wow. He's just so cool about it, isn't he? He doesn't come out panic, just comes out, pops a few laps in, and bang, there it was. That was a good race for him in the previous one, bagging some good points again.
Yeah, very much so. It'll be interesting to see who takes the fight to him. I think certainly Josh Hislop has been regularly up there, hasn't he? And our silent assassin, Jack MacIntyre, is clearly still not very far away at all.
No, I mean, it was interesting for me to look in the week and see how the fastest lap and pole position points have really been adding to Dave Marshall's score. I mean, he had, if you took them out, he still had the championship lead, but it was cut down. So those 2 pole positions last time out really did make a difference in the scoring, and could well do so again in this one. 47.6, so he's got just under a 10th in hand at the moment over Jack MacIntyre in 2nd. Top real racer is Josh Hislop. Tobin Lee next up from Isaac Smith, and then Josh Martin. Rob Butler's going good guns as well here. Rob really in a groove this weekend.
Seems to be, yeah.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah, super fight to get into the top 10 for race 1, and then held out superbly in race 2 for such a long time, but it was Josh Hislop who came through.
Max Coates living up to his pre-race weekend promise of being right up there. It hasn't really quite delivered up till now in the first 2 races, but now currently sitting in 2nd place.
Yes, he has. He's popped that one in, hasn't he? So we've got 10 minutes left on the clock for this one as we watch Jack MacIntyre going through shot. Jack using a Thrustmaster TSPC, Fanatec V3 pedals. There was questions on the forum of the championship in the week whether it was possible to mix and match, and I can't remember who the question came to. It might have been Tobin Lee, about asking about whether you could mix and match. But Jack using Thrustmaster wheel and Fanatec pedals, and a GT Omega rig with a 24-inch screen, which I think is one of the smaller ones out of the kit that people use. But it is you see a lot of the same names as you'd expect. I suppose this is really for the benefit of the real world racers that are here that don't have sim setups. The names that you're seeing: Fanatec, Logitech, Thrustmaster, SimMagic. I think that's probably it, actually, in terms of the wheels that are used.
It'll be good to see more of our real world racers taking to the sim racing next time when we launch our coming season for the autumn winter period. So it'd be really good to see those guys coming on board as well, and of course, yeah, getting an idea of what the other competitors are using in terms of the tech will give them a good idea of what they need to invest in.
Absolutely right.
Just a quick reminder to everyone watching on our Facebook feed, make sure you do get those comments flowing. I'd really like to hear from you. And a quick shout out to Gavin Bristow. Gavin's a racer from Old in the Mini Challenge, and he's now actually over in the US, I believe, still, working for SpaceX. So hopefully he's enjoying himself over there.
Yeah, big day for them today, hopefully.
Hopefully, indeed.
Were you watching the other night? I was tuned in, ready to go, and then...
Yes, the aborted start.
It was a shame, but absolutely for the right reasons, though. So
yes.
paramount, isn't it? a lot of people were whinging and moaning about it. I thought, hang on, guys, you don't even run NASCAR in the wet, so why are you going to send the rocket up? You know? It's bad weather. But yeah, looking forward to that this evening. But I won't be watching from 5 o'clock. I think it will be.
I saw the chat on one of our forums also about the possibility of adding weather conditions to the racing, and also even the suggestion of maybe a 24-hour mini challenge race, sim race. That would clearly need a few comfort breaks.
Yeah, and a few more commentators, I think.
Definitely. So what have we got? So we've got Max is still up there, just a 100th or so behind.
He is, yeah. He's
Dave Marshall. Isaac Smith still up there. It's some solid results. Oh, is that Max Bird just jumped up into second?
Yeah, well done, Max. And it's Marshall and the Maxes at the moment. Marshall, the Maxes, and MacIntrye. We said about this alliteration earlier on because we had Brownbird, Brennan, and Butler on the start of race 2, and now it's all the M's up at the front in this one. So good alliterative stuff for copywriters, I suppose.
It must be.
Max Bird, is he going to be able to hang on to that? There's not many people setting fastest laps. There's only 3 on the last lap, one of which was Max Bird, as you rightly pointed out. Lewis Brown did one, that's disappeared now, and the other one was Scott Thorne. Went through as well. Scott using a homemade setup with a Sparco race seat for his rig. Some people just using a normal desk chair, so you don't have to have all the gear. You can do this sort of racing with whatever setup you do. Dave Marshall's still there, 7 minutes to go on the clock, ready for our third race. The championship leader looking to extend that, and I'm not quite sure at what point, this is probably a question for the podium, at what point does he start getting ready for his drive in the real world? And I think the answer is probably going not till the last weekend of the season, because there are going to be a lot of hungry sim racers right with him all the way, including Toby Lee. The Silent Assassin is going to be after him as well. Oh.
Someone just pushing a little bit too hard there. Who's that?
Screen's not big enough at the moment to pick that out. It's a single digit white and yellow. Nope, gone.
Oh, it's Ryan Elliott.
Yeah, Ryan was a big scorer actually for races 1 and 2, and as long as you only do that sort of thing in qualifying, that's what it's about. That's what testing and qualifying is about. If you do have an off, just find the limit right off in quali. Let's just have a quick look and see where Ryan is on the time. He's 12th at the moment, so that sort of progress from there could be thinking about maybe grabbing a podium in race 1. If not, then making a couple of races up and getting up onto the front row for the reverse grid race for race 4 of the day, or race 2.2 if you want to call it that. Max having a little exploratory moment there. The front wheel's going on the grass slightly, but comes through. Marshall, Bird, Coates and MacIntyre, your top 4 at the moment, with Josh Hislop, Lewis Brown 6th, then Tobin Lee, Isaac Smith now down to 8th after setting a pretty good pace early on in this one.
It's just so close, isn't it, Richard? Yeah, a couple of tenths. You've got 10 drivers within 2 tenths of each other. Very, very close.
Absolutely right. There's Isaac Smith running Fanatec 918 Porsche wheel, Fanatec V3 pedals, Fanatec 1.5 version shifter, and Fanatec rig as well, and using VR Oculus Rift. A couple of drivers using Oculus kits, including Damien Hall, our Barbadian. I must admit, I've not tried too much virtual reality stuff, but one of the championships, obviously, that you'll be joining with Toka, the F4 championship, had a virtual rig a couple of seasons ago. It was really impressive to sit on. Amazing experience. So good kit if you can get hold of it.
I think at some stage I'm going to have to invest in some of this myself and have a go, Richard.
It's a time thing for me. I just don't have time to do it with so many other things on. You know, it's when do I have time to sit down? I know people say, well, how about now, because we're in lockdown, and I probably would, but you know, you can invest all the money in the kit, and then once we're back out and working properly again, just wouldn't have time to use it.
No, that's a fair point.
Just on that, business-wise, presumably you're getting inquiries from drivers still wanting to come out and race with you, or you know, how's business looking?
Well, we're just finalising our new replacement calendar, really taking into account all of our drivers' viewpoints rather than sort of just dictating to them. So we'll be finalising that in the next week or so for the JCW class at least. We are getting new inquiries, and in particular already new inquiries for next year.
Excellent. Yeah, because we'll all know what we're doing, won't we, by then? So
indeed,
how things are coping out. A lot of conversations have been had, about. I think the first couple of meetings we're going to see are going to be akin to like the plum pudding meeting they have at Mallory Park, which is where on Boxing Day, where you just you don't have championships as such, but you have mix and match races. I think the first couple of meetings are probably going to be like that. MSB are well placed to do that, and indeed BRSCC, 750 Motor Club, and BARC are well placed to do that as well. Before we get back down to proper, if that's the right word, as Theo Bridgeman goes over the grass, proper racing for next year. But I know people are keen to get back out on track, but there's the issue of getting spectators in and how you deal with just simple things like I know the MS UK guidelines were talking about in the press office no paper, for example, so you can't go in and get a paper printout of the timing and stuff like that. So people can be a lot more reliant on tablets and things like that to get information. So a lot of logistics for all the circuits that MS UK to do. That Max having a little slowed up moment there as through goes Scott Thorne in the 49 car, still on pole position. Dave Marshall from Max Bird, Max Coates, Jack MacIntyre, Josh Hislop, Lewis Brown in 6th place, then Tobin Lee, and then it is Isaac Smith, 1, 2, 3, followed by Matt Richards in 9th place, Josh Martin in 10th place at the moment. So that's our top 10 drivers with 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, it seems to settle down. It'd be interesting to see if anybody could just put in a last minute time. But more often than not, that does happen in our real world qualifying. People bolt on a second set of new tyres towards the end of the session and go out and put a flyer in.
What's your take on drop scores? There aren't any drop scores in this championship, but it was thrilling last year, and obviously your champion who's moving up, Jiggy Gordon, moving up into touring cars this year. Was able, and it's very unusual that a driver manages to win a championship on drop scores, but he did. Is that something that will carry through to this year?
Yeah, we always feel that it would be difficult for somebody to lose out on an opportunity to win a championship just to do a mechanical or technical problem or indeed an incident that wasn't their own. So having some drop scores does make sense. Interestingly, Ian Gornall, Jiggy's dad's viewing us on Facebook at the moment. So
cool. Hello.
Hi to Ian.
That's good to see. That's a really good point. A case well made for drop scores, I think. Either way, it just goes to show how competitive it was last year, literally down to the wire.
Absolutely.
So we've got 49 seconds into the last minute of our second qualifying session. There is Craig Timmins, his driver we're going to be chatting to or focusing on in race 2. We'll chat to him in the podium scenario afterwards. He runs at the moment 23rd in the championship, just behind James MacIntyre, ahead of Keir McConomy, Craig Timmins, sim racer. And Craig is looking for his notes, right down at the bottom, because he didn't have a race number coming into last week. Company director of a family-owned engineering and manufacturing company, comes from Leeds. Very much enjoying himself. A little way down the order at the moment, but trying to get up into the top 20. We have 3 minutes left on the clock, so the virtual checker will be out. The drivers that are on their last lap will take that through. We're looking at Frankie Taylor, the youngest driver in the competition, heading up Hailwoods Hill and into Druids Hairpin. One of Team Hard's growing ranks, and has raced in Sax Max, or the Junior Saloon Car Championship as it's now known. It's a better name, and did some Genetta Junior racing last year as well, and managed to replicate his Larry livery for our eSeries here, which is absolutely superb. And he's a driver that's really going to, I think, go places over the next few seasons. Frankie Taylor really put his reputation on the line coming in here and wanting to have a go. Most of them back down, so through we go, and let's run through the top positions for you. It's Dave Marshall on pole again, 100% pole position record for him. Max Bird starts in P2. Great great qualifying from Max Bird. And you could say here that the real world drivers making a little bit of an impact here through Max Bird, the two Maxes, Max Bird and Max Coates. It is Jack MacIntyre in 4th place. 5th goes to Josh Hislop. Behind him in 6th is Lewis Brown. Then Tobin Lee in 7th place. Isaac Smith, the reigning Fiesta champion, takes 8th position. So that's the top 8. 9th is, the timing screen changing as we go through. So I'm done on making the notes there. So Marshall, Bird, Coates, MacIntyre, Hislop, Lewis Brown, Tobin Lee, Isaac Smith, the first 4 rows for our 3rd of 4 races. Here's confirmation of that.
As I can see on our Facebook feed that Sarah Bird commenting on Max's great result in qualifying. She says, Bird is the word. Let's see if that continues into the next race.
Quite right too. From down there in Sussex, I think, Chichester based. Is it Max that's based down in Chichester? It is, yeah, 19 years of age from Chichester. Running with Elite Motorsport this year, new team to JCW Mini Challenge, with a very good pedigree, particularly in Ginetta racing. And looking forward to seeing Ed, Ives and the teams coming through into that. So there we go. When I'm doing mini commentary, I usually get told off as well by some people for not mentioning various drivers. I think we're trying to give everyone a mention as we go through.
So I think we've got some drivers in the chat ready to speak as well, Richard, if you want.
Okay, so let's have a quick look over there and see who we have got. Do we know who we've got over there? Have we got pole position man? Have we got
Dave Marshall, I think, yeah.
Dave, another pole position, 100% record. Well done.
Yeah, thanks for that. That lap was fairly hooked up, so yeah, another pole and hopefully a repeat of race 1.
What do you do when you're looking at? Are you looking at how many cars are on track and who else is out there before you go out? Because you seem to take your time to get out on track, and what's the strategy?
Yeah, so I was just a tad late getting in the car and setting off. I just saw how busy the grid was straight away, so just let them get away a bit and managed to find a bit of clear track. And normally have about three laps where the tyres are in. So luckily at the end of the 3rd lap, put a decent lap in.
Excellent. And have you worked out your championship points lead at the moment, or?
I have, if I'm honest. Yeah, it's a bit of a piece of line for me. So I believe if I've worked out the points right, I'm sitting on 271, but with that pole should be 277.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully another repeat of race 1 and extend it a bit further.
Good lad. Glad to see you got it. Because you talk to some of the real world. It's one of the things you're going to have to lose if you're a real world driver is forget about the points, because many of them don't have a clue, to be perfectly honest. But maybe you could change the ethos. We're in a changing world at the moment, so maybe that will change the way drivers look at it. But well done, mate. That's good. Well done on pole, and we'll see how things go in the race. Do we have Max Bird to hand? Is Max there? Anthony, who else we got in the room with us? Can you see?
I think you've got Craig Timmins in.
Is Craig there? Oh,
yes,
great.
mate.
Hi, Craig. How are you? Didn't hear that at all. Don't forget push to speak if we can hear you, Craig.
You got me? Anything? Hello?
Got you. Yeah. How are you?
There's the microphone on. Good, thanks. Yes.
How was your qualifying?
Yeah. Of all the tracks to have a go at the second ever sim race, Brands Hatch with 35 cars. Yeah. It's a learning curve.
You've got a similar setup to what my son has next door to where I am at the moment. The Logitech stuff, it's good enough, isn't it? Tell him it's good enough.
It's all right, yeah. I've had ones like the years ago. I've had dirt ones, but this seems to be a decent one with the feedback and stuff.
Are you still using the office chair and wedges?
I am, yes.
Cool. He's actually got a race seat, so he's better off than you. I just wanted to tell him that and clear that up. And if there are any other, sort of dads that are getting nagged by their sons, they've actually got decent equipment. So are you going to say thick pole carpet as well, were you? Or?
Yeah, that's it. It stops it moving around, yeah.
So what brought you into this?
Basically, I've been looking for a couple of years to go into the real world Mini Cooper Challenge, and literally I thought, well, do it. Probably have a go at this. Try and learn the track, try and learn some racing etiquette, try and make some friends. Hopefully, if I'm not getting in the way too much. But yeah, just generally to give it a go and learn what I can.
It'd be great to see you in the real world as well, using this as practice. And is that doable? I mean, is business good enough for you with what's going on at the moment to maybe make the lump into real racing, make the jump rather?
I'd kind of budgeted for like sort of most of the costs, but obviously didn't see this thing coming. But then obviously there was a gap there where I was going to be looking for sponsorship, which, as everybody will know, will be much harder now. But yeah, it's still one of them things. I'm knocking on. If I have to beg, scrape, sell a kidney, then yeah, I'll find some way of doing it. Hopefully.
You're never too old to come and start racing for sure. I mean, you can see that from many classes that will have drivers, joining in their 50s or 60s. So still plenty of time for you, mate.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you.
Enjoy your race. Thanks very much for taking the opportunity to talk to us. That's real good. How are we do for
No,
time wise? Maybe Mike could tell us where we are time wise. We've got some cars. Virtual cars coming out. We're still okay to talk to some other drivers?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so who else have we got? Anthony, can you spot anybody else?
Simon Reed.
Simon Reed? Is Simon there?
Yes, hello.
Simon, hello. You're our featured driver for race 3. Sorry for taking so long to get to you, and welcome along. Good to chat.
Thank you very much.
Oxford Racing, you're a man from Oxfordshire. Tell us a bit about how you got involved in the eSeries.
Well, I mean, it's I've been involved in the mini challenge for a long time with the team, Oxford Racing, and obviously with the lack of racing going on at the moment, it was something to keep going with.
You actually work for Mini.
That's correct, yeah.
And so you part of? Do you work with James Louts?
We don't work in the same department, but obviously, yes, I'm on the team, so I work with Jim on the team. But
right
within the plant, we bump into each other from time to time.
And so you've done a little bit of motorsport MSVR track days, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I did a couple seasons of that, which had some success in, but I'm still very much an amateur racer.
Yeah. But enjoying the 2 outings that you had so far.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm hoping to get back out again, maybe next year.
Well, that'd be good. And in terms of the eSeries that you've done the last couple of weekends, and obviously we've got over another 6 weekends to come, which we're looking forward to. Any rivalries building up for you?
Well, I'm not really sure at the moment. I mean, I'm just doing my best to try and stay out of trouble. But yeah, certainly there's a few cars I see more frequently, both in front of me and in my mirrors. So I will be looking out for them.
That's good. I think points-wise coming in, you got Thomas O'Farrell chasing you, and you're a couple of points behind Scott Jeffs and Kenny Press, and Kim McConomy, who's another real racer as well. So maybe we'll see you battling it out with those guys a little bit later on today.
Oh, I hope so.
Okay, well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and the very best luck with races 3 and 4. We'll try and get a chat with you as well after this race once we've done the podium interviews, just see how things have gone for you.
Cool, excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that, Simon.
Thank you.
Working well. Good to hear from our 2 featured drivers coming up in races 3 and 4. And our pole position man, Dave Marshall, who's getting a fair bit of airtime, isn't he, at the moment, Mr. Marshall? But also, to be fair, he's earning it. Okay, we're just getting news through from our producers that there were some technical issues, so there's going to be a little bit of a rerun of qualifying. So, and if I'm hearing this correct me if I'm wrong, production team, but 10 minutes of qualifying to have a take 2. So the guys have got to, Dave Marshall's got to do it all again. So the question is, will he get another interview and another pole position out of this? So the drivers are being briefed, and will get their chance to go out and do it again. What I don't know is how it's going to impact on settings on their cars. There will be a gap to reset things, obviously, before they go into races 2 and 3. So we can effectively say that the last session that we had was a free practice.
It does seem like that, doesn't it, Richard?
Yeah.
I can't imagine that Dave Marshall, Max Bird, and the other guys up at the front will be too chuffed with that.
No, Mrs. Bird's not going to be very happy, is she?
She won't be, not at all. I'm expecting comments to be flying up on Facebook very, very shortly.
The name I usually get told off though, when we did the coverage with Nick Barnett and the team of the Real World Racing Mini Festival at Brands Hatch, I got told off by Ollie Mortimer's mum for not mentioning Ollie Mortimer. So I know Ollie Mortimer has nothing to do with this, but I'm going to give him a shout because he's a very successful Scottish mini racer. So that's now done. Mortimer happy, and Ollie is a good pilot though. To be fair to him. Not sure if she's on social media at the moment. If you are, as Anthony said, if you are following us on social media, please do pop a comment up and we can give you a shout. This is a little bonus for us because we find a little bit of extra track time. As they say, we've got a lot of Yorkshire people, so they're going, more track time. But I won't do the accent because it sounds like, oh, hello. It's Scott Jeffs having a little bit of a wide moment coming through Druids. Now, this is caught the drivers on the hop, so this is really, I suppose, in one way getting them to think on their feet, having to go out and do it all again after the reset button. So this has added a little bit of drama, and that sort of thing can happen in the real world. We've had a couple of, I know it's not virtually raining today. Oh, there's a dive up the inside there, and off goes, I think it was Rue Clark that got speared off there. We've had on the touring car package certainly, and also in the Big Truck Racing Championship, which we filmed, where qualifying has been negated for some reason, and usually it's bad weather, particularly if you're down at Penbrae. If you've ever been to Penbrae, it's actually below sea level, so when it rains, the water table is higher. There's actually very little they can do to get track action on, although inevitably the racing organisers do a fantastic job to get things going. But this sort of scenario, what I'm getting around saying in a very long-winded way, is this sort of scenario can happen where in the real world you get, for whatever reason, the qualifying session doesn't happen, and then we have to have a little shorter one. I thought we were going to have a 10 minutes, but it's actually a 20 minutes. As you can see, we've got 17 minutes 13 on the clock, so it's going to be a slightly longer session today. I'm guessing there will be an edit of the programme going out as we look at Will Fairclough in the number 30, not mentioned Will today, running an FP0 Pro. Will runs with Jamsport Racing, one of the top teams. Jamsport, is it Jamsport back with Ant Niels this year, or is Ant running on his own, actually?
No, Ant's running with Jamsport. I think they may have some sort of technical partnership with the team, touring car team,
Okay.
But nevertheless, yeah, Ant's running with Jamsport in the mini challenge.
So, to get a former champion coming back, and was it the arena, because obviously he went away from mini challenge, but now it's back with well, not back with, but now it's on with touring cars. Is that what appealed to them?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Ant really wants to get back into touring cars. He had a good season or so in the touring car championship and did a good job. But that's where he really wants to be. But he just sees that the mini challenge is the sort of the obvious second best option.
It's a good benchmark for the others, isn't it? Ant Niels, what a peddler.
Ant's always just got incredible car control and racecraft. That's his strong points.
And it's when you've got drivers like Ant with Max, both of who have had little stints in the touring car championship, that it is effectively, it is. I said that there were moments when you see the poise of the cars and the fields, and they look like touring cars. It is very much a touring car feeder. But then you've got drivers that have been in touring cars who want to get back in and are fighting to get back in. It is a top level championship.
It certainly is. Everyone that drives the car really enjoys it. It is difficult to drive, but it's really enjoyable.
Now, the next question I've got to ask you is about a good mate of mine who I work with and will be working with on the championship over the upcoming weeks. Had a couple of goes in mini challenge. That's Paul O'Neill. What was he like? Spill the dirt or spill the beans on what Paul O'Neill was like.
Well, Paul O'Neill's had a couple of goes actually in the championship. One in our older specification car and one in the JCW. But actually, he did really well.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that.
No, we were very impressed with him. He's probably the best results from a touring car driver.
Right. One of the thing about Paul, and I'm not sure if he's on, he may well be on, or having a look, but to work with, he's a great laugh and a great personality and a great bloke, which is the first thing. But to work with him in the commentary box, he is so quick at spotting, which is his job, the things that go wrong with the car or affecting the handling of the car. And not only does he spot it quickly, but he articulates it quickly as well. And mightily impressive what he does there.
But clearly not as impressive as his mic catching skills on the ITV programme.
That's a bit special, isn't it? I love that. Really.
Maybe we need to have a virtual go at that.
Yeah, I must admit I declined going on camera at the moment because the hair's gone absolutely crazy at the minute, and it's not a good look at the minute.
Joined the club with. I've decided to grow a beard on the basis that we're locked down for a few weeks. I'm not entirely sure whether it's going to stay or not.
Yeah, it's difficult times, isn't it, for that?
Sure is. So how are we doing in terms of it's Lee up in second place? I missed that.
Yeah, thank you for getting me back on track. Yeah, it is Toby Lee. So we've got the sim lads up front again with Dave Marshall's done the job again of 49.5. Toby Lee second, and then Jack Mack in third. Josh Hislop top of the real racers, and then Matt Richards looking good. But Max Bird still there or thereabouts.
Solid result, yeah.
Sixth position. So hasn't lost out too much. It was P2 originally. Actually scrubbed there's Craig Timmins. He's got a decent beard as well, hasn't he, Craig? Look at that.
That's very, very well.
I think that might be a pre-lockdown beard, that one actually. But he's the what does it say pronounced? I'd pronounce it Craig anyway. I suppose he must get called Craigie or something with that spelling. But
yes, he's obviously making a point though. It's Craig.
I would be. I suppose some pretentious people might try and pronounce it otherwise. But Craig, good lad as well. Nice to chat to him. Look forward to seeing him in the real grid as well. Now, who's making progress? It's still Marshall with the quickest. Lewis Brown up to third. Luke Kidsley fires in a quick one there, as does Josh Martin in 89, having their best laps last time out. Same too with Tom Williams, who's had a good one. He's in 15th place. A little bit further down, Theo Bridgeman, featured driver from race 2, just popped in a quick one. He's just done a 50.8. But has been demoted by Ryan Dignan, who goes 50.3. So he's had a good run, and then Tom O'Farrell's had a good one as well. But other than that, times are fairly settled at the moment. Max Coates, now having said that, pops in a quick lap and goes second quickest in the 71, a 49.6. Coates and Marshall were pretty much tied together in the previous race. As you watch Craig Timmins, there he is. And
so we've got another Max in second place, it's just a different one.
That's true, yes. So where's Max Bird? Down in 9th now, so Max Bird needs to pull something out to try and get back. At least he knows the pace is there. If you has the result and then get it negated, at least he knows he had the pace earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Craig Timmins has a little moment exploring. I tell you what, all of these guys are so much better than I would be. People keep saying, when are you going to have a go? And I'm really not going to embarrass myself, as indeed I wouldn't in a real world racing car. People keep offering me goes, and no, I just, there's just no point in me wasting everybody's time and having a go, because it wouldn't be pretty. So Craig Timmins goes through Druids, coming down Graham Hill Bend. Doesn't matter where you are on the Indy circuit, and probably on the GP circuit. So many in the real world good places to watch the racing. Although I've got to say the hospitality suites in the Bradham and Stewart centres, which overlook the start-finish line, are probably the best places to go. And I rather regret when people come up to me at the track and they say, "Hey Richard, where's the best place to watch?" And I always say the commentary box, which is where they're not allowed, of course, but it's not a very helpful answer. But I would say that probably if you can afford the chance to get into hospitality, it's a wonderful thing to do at Brands Hatch. There's so many good providers that look after you. And the building at the back there as well, the Fulston Centre, I don't think it's called the Fulston Centre anymore, is it? I think
the other option obviously is getting relationships with, getting relationships, get a business relationship with one of the teams or drivers, and then you can always get the hospitality via that route as well.
That's exactly the right thing to do, and get more involved. You've got a bit of focus on the race day with the team, and just to be part of such a big day. when you talk to people that haven't been, and particularly, you know, you guys were with British GT last year, and obviously going forward into the touring car arena, either of those packages, when people come for the first time, they say, I didn't realise how many people came and what a buzz there was around GTs or touring cars. You know, wherever you are, it's just top level.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, particularly if it's a nice weekend with the weather and there really is a good crowd, people just don't realise that it's that busy.
It's a fantastic arena, superb.
Yeah, and unlike, you know, some of the really high-level motorsport, Formula One as an example, you can just get so much closer to the action easily, whether or not you've got a sort of sponsorship arrangement with a driver or a hospitality arrangement. You can still get really close to drivers, even if you just got a ticket to get into the circuit.
Yeah, absolutely right. And there's more overtaking. It's just more entertaining, isn't it?
Definitely. Just a quick shout out to Ria Beauchamp, our Real World Championship coordinator, who's currently watching on Facebook as well. So hi to her. And Mike Bamber, an ex-Mini Challenge racer, Simon Walton, Cooper Class driver, Simon Rackham, one of our partners who supply parts. And yeah, great to see you all watching.
I had a comment from Toby Goodman from last week. He was watching last week, so I don't know if Toby and his dad and Number may be watching this week, but hopefully they are. Give us a shout out if you are watching.
Well, I think there's some talk about maybe trying to join the JCW class at some point during the season for Toby, so hopefully that will happen.
That's good. I've got a chat with him in the week, so I'll ask him about that. There's a couple of cars coming into pit lane. It's still Dave Marshall on pole. Really set out his stall early in this second go at our second qualifying. Max Coates P2. This is going to be fascinating if it stays this way with Marshall and Coates together on the front row of the grid. Toby Lee in third, Lewis Brown in fourth. Could be the last time we see Lewis for a little while due to work, but his dad's obviously been grumpy about him having to paying for his racing and his food and everything else. So we'll see whether that is the case. Lewis and the team, the Brown team, actually were very sweet of them when they were in junior racing. Actually, put my son's the son came to a couple of meetings when he was a lot younger, and they put my son's name on the car for him, which was a real sweet thing for them to do, and gave him a nice bit of focus. But that again is what the paddock's like when you get involved with the teams and chat to them. Yeah, really super place to get involved. A little bit of improvement now. We're getting some drivers sticking in some quick lap times. Matt Richards has just popped a good one in. He goes up to fourth quickest, and Josh Hislop sets his best lap, but he's only, by his standards, in seventh place. Josh currently second in the championship, was trying to close that. That was fascinating. Dave Marshall worked the points out. That was quite funny. How on earth did he have time to sort all that? I bet he didn't do the top six though.
You never know. He might have a teammate there working it out for him. True. I don't know. He takes it obviously very seriously. So
there's Matt Richards. He calls it a day. Good qualifying for Matt in fourth place. So it's Marshall, Coates front row, second row Tobin Lee, Matt Richards, Lewis Brown on row 3 with Jack MacIntyre, then Josh Hislop, Max Burns still on the outside of row 4, 8th position at the moment. Then it's Ryan Elliott again with the chance to score some more good points. Jordan Brennan is in 11th, row 6. His teammate, would you believe it, Callum Newsham. Those two tied together again. They are every time, or more often than not. Which is good. As we look at Theo Bridgeman heading through, let's have a quick look and see where Theo is. He is in 23rd on the timing at the moment, so pretty good for him, and around about where we've been seeing him qualify and finish. 5 minutes on the clock, so into the last quarter of our second go. Fingers crossed for the tech here that all is going to be well. Is anybody else going to... The issue here might come into play, of course, is maybe a little bit of fatigue, because had one qualifying, we've effectively had 2 qualifying sessions already and 2 races, and then to ask them to do it again. I'm not quite sure how fit you have to be to do these, but there's going to be a mental fatigue, if nothing else.
Yeah, it probably comes down to whether or not the sun is blasting into the room where you're playing, and whether you got some air conditioning. I was chatting with Max. He said it was actually quite hard work, and really could have done with a bit more time to get a bit of liquid inside him.
Anywhere north of Watford, it's probably cloudy and raining anyway, isn't it? Like normal, so probably cooler. We've just been told by the production team that we've got a fair few people watching, so welcome along and thanks very much for joining us. as we conclude. A little bit of shenanigans there for Theo going into the pit lane. This is our second one. 6th of June next week, D-Day next week. Oh, it's S-Day, Silverstone National Circuit, which is our third event of the season. Make sure you join us then. We'll be online from 10 to 12 once again, with the build-up and qualifying again from 12 for our third. We're really starting to get a picture of how this championship is beginning to pan out. It's not to say there won't be any surprises along the way. I'm sure there will, as we see Alex Toth-Jones there in the number 11 car, having a little bit of a struggle today, Alex. Down in 15th position and was 5th in the championship. I make it that he's up to 168 points now, so I think he's been passed by Matt Richards. Again, my provisional maths, and I apologise if I've got that wrong, but also it means that he's got Matt Richards 1 point ahead of him, Max Coates 1 point behind him at the minute. It's so tight between those drivers, and Dave Marshall with the opportunity here to bang in another 6 pointers. We've got just 3 minutes left on the clock.
So just thinking about nicknames for drivers, we could go with Dave Marshall the Machine.
Oh yeah, you're good at this, Anthony.
We'll turn this into World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, that's a good one. Not sure about Coatsy, but we'll.
No, I'll come up with something though.
Hoping Lee still in 4th place. An improvement there from Rob Butler. He goes up into 8th position. Isaac Smith improves as well on that last lap. He's 9th, so Butler is next up with 3 to go. Butler really getting some decent points underway. And don't forget, if you are watching online, you've got the ability to comment, send us your nominations for driver of the day. If you've only seen a couple of races, by the end of the day, just base it on that. But do feed the information back to us, because it's all very useful. And can't remember if we had a driver of the day for. We didn't have one that we nominated on our first round, but I think there's going to be one announced retrospectively. As that was Lewis Brown coming into pit lane. Sorry, Anthony, I'll cut across.
No, it's not at all. I was just about to mention that you were talking about Jiggy earlier on, and I noticed that he's now watching us too.
Excellent.
So hi there to James Gornall, our mini challenge champion from 2019. Hope you do well in touring cars this year.
Absolutely right, multi-champion in whatever he races in. He's quick. He's another Dave Marshall, isn't he? Really.
Jiggy was really impressive at the Touring Car Media Day back in March. Very impressive drive.
That's going to be good to see. I kind of hope we do have this revised championship timetable they've put together, because the fixture list came out, wasn't it? 4 out of the 5 weekends in August or something that we've got events on, and it is. I know people have huffed and puffed about it and everything else, but wouldn't that be mega? Wouldn't that be a thing to remember in years to come? Do you remember when we had 4 meetings in 5 weekends of touring cars and Ginettas and Minis and F4? That would be fantastic.
Well, I think it's certainly not going to happen every year that happens. And but the mini challenge drivers that we've been talking to, they really have fed back that that's going to be pretty difficult for them to achieve. So we won't have all 5 rounds with the 4 rounds in August with the JCW class. It'll be probably 2 of those.
Yeah,
we're doing, and I think then what that does is gives the Cooper class an opportunity to get some extra coverage on the Toka package.
That's good, and that was great racing, wasn't it, last year as well? Absolutely superb stuff.
Those cars, they just follow so closely. The toe is really important to them. And like any underpowered car, really, the toe is an important part of the racecraft.
All of the championships went down to Snout. I remember sitting in that little TV commentary cupboard that we had underneath the timing centre, and working out the points, not only on the JCWs but on the other classes as well, on each race, and like the Pro and the AM class, which is one group this year, but last year we had to work the points out for both classes to see who was going to be champion to the last race of the year. So competitive.
Yeah, and it was a really close year last year, certainly. I think Max has just closed up the gap a little bit. I don't think he's got time really to perhaps make a big step forward, but now it's only 700ths off Dave Marshall, the machine.
Yep, the real races are starting to close in, aren't they now? It's Marshall still out front, Coates, Hislop and Lee, so 2 of each sim races and real world races on the front 2 rows. And then Jack MacIntyre, followed by Ryan Elliott, who's come up well here. Another quick lap from Ryan Elliott up into P6. the number 2 car. So very good qualifying from him and putting him in. You know, if he stays there through the race, he'll be up at the sharp end for the reverse grid race as well. So he's been remarkably consistent today so far. There's Ryan Elliott. Then it's Lewis Brown 7th, followed by Matt Richards. Isaac Smith still there or thereabouts as well. Any one of the top 10 and probably further down could be capable of taking the race win here as the clock now stops. So Matt Richards, just jotting down some times. Matt Richards next up from Isaac Smith, and Rob Butler in the top 10 again. That seems to be a sort of consistent pace for Rob. He was very good in race 2, taking that 2nd position. So there we go. That's our 2nd qualifying over. It doesn't matter what you throw at Dave the Machine Marshall. I love that. It's very good. Thank you, Anthony. He is there on provisional, well, actual pole now from Max Coates. So it's Marshall and Max on the front row for race 3. Josh Hislop and Tobin Lee on row 2. Jack MacIntyre, again, very consistent and very fast, is next up from Ryan Elliott. Great qualifying for him on row 3. Then it is Lewis Brown and Matt Richards. Isaac Smith on row 5 with Rob Butler. Max Bird lost out there. He's going to be a little bit gutted, as his mum watching online from P2 with the technical problems we had now in 11th place. Jordan Brennan is next up, completing the top 12. Immediately behind him, or diagonally behind him on the next row of the grid, will be Callum Newsham. Then the 89 car of Josh Martin. So that's the way the front runners line up. And Dave Marshall looking to, again, having secured a 4th consecutive pole, call it a 5th, if you want to talk about that session that we lost, he's now going to be looking for a 4th win from pole position in the Mini Challenge UK E-Series. And you've got to be brave, I think, to bet against him.
Yeah, and he certainly is looking very, very strong. I think we might need some. Maybe we need to try and bring that weather option forward and start having some wet race and see how he does with that.
That would really put the pressure on him and the people putting the series together, wouldn't it?
It would.
Everyone's going, no, we can't do that. But this is going to be interesting that he's got Max Coates right with him as well on this one.
Max Coates is a real hard charger, isn't he? So.
Yeah, and should be a quick starter as well. So we'll see how it goes. The cars are on the grid again. A splendid sight, and away we go. It is a good start. And how has Max done? Well, Dave Marshall, Max hasn't done that well actually, because Josh Hislop has got up into 2nd position in the 58 car, and Max being passed as well by Tobin Lee in the pink or purple and white car. So Max has got some work to do, but Dave Marshall's done a Dave Marshall, has gone up into lead position. This is where we had the danger moment on race number 1. We have got a half spinner at Druids. There's a little bit of sorting out. Could have been worse. A few cars taking to the grass. One little knock there at the back. But Marshall, the machine, is off and down the road. So, okay, wasn't as bad as race 1, that we have lost a couple of cars. Unfortunately, from that early one, I think Max Bird's one of the drivers that's dropped back, which is a little bit of a shame. So 20 minutes for this race. We're going to look at Rue Clark, who got knocked off in the earlier practice session, but running well here at the moment. Marshall crosses the line still in lead position with Josh Hislop in P2. Hislop, having come up from 3rd on the grid, had a super start, and I wonder whether the outside line is virtually quicker here, whether it's programmed that way or not. But Alex Toth-Jones in the mix there as well. But Marshall away and starting to build a lead. Remember, it was around about 1.2 seconds on the first race that he did, so he'll be looking to replicate that.
He just seems to be able to switch it on immediately. A bit like Ant Water Eels in the real world, able to just switch it on, go.
That's a very good comparison, isn't it? And Max Coates starting to get into a little bit of rhythm down in 4th. And of course, having lost a little bit of ground off the start, not a huge problem for him to start to try and close in. Tobin Lee doing what he did in race number 1, starting to hound Josh Hislop. Remember, they had a little bit of coming together in race 1. Luke Kidsley in the mix in the left-hand pane of your screens at the moment. And we'll see whether those two get involved. But it was great that both the drivers said it was just a little bit of lag, a little bit of contact there going on, with Rue Clark just going through on the inside line up into Druids, now going along Cooper Straight. Fastest man at the moment is Max Coates on lap 3, 49.888, and around about 2/10 quicker than Dave Marshall's lap. And that's Max in chasing mode. Luke Kidsley makes a move, passes Rue Clark, so the number 8 car makes up a position, gets into 15th, but Rue Clark's going to come back on the inside line. The ex-VW Cup racer chasing down. Don't think he's got the momentum here. He's got the line as they head to paddock, but now builds the momentum. And is he going to get through under braking right to the curbs? And Luke Kidsley braves it out on the outside line. Lovely piece of e-racing between those two. Rue Clark not giving up, takes a wide line here into Druids and pops himself down the inside line. Tags Luke Kidsley, whose car goes askew, but he pulls it all back in line and grabs the inside line as they come down. A little knock from Clark again as they go through Graham Hill Bend and along Cooper Straight, and now he's got the attention of Damien Hall all over him. So Damien Hall looking up on the inside line, the Barbadian trying to go through, and left-hand panel now we're looking at Max Coates in car. Was fastest man on track, that time has been usurped by the machine Marshall. So Dave Marshall out front, clear track, working hard. Max Coates has got all the work to do to try and close in on Tobin Lee.
That was a nice little battle with Rue Clark. Again, another of our real-world mini challenge drivers.
Yeah, nice job from Mike picking up on that, and our director, who's keeping an eye on the battles all around the track and trying to give drivers the due coverage. And it's not an easy thing to do, but a good job being done by Mike there. Good job being done by Dave Marshall out front. There is Matt Richards. Richards running in 7th position at the moment. Jack MacIntyre ahead of him. MacIntyre still being very, very consistent indeed. We said 3rd in the championship. His run of results: 4th, 8th, 3rd, 6th at Donington Park. A brace of 3rd positions here so far. So we're looking to maintain that. Certainly finish no lower than 8th. To try and keep in touch with Dave Marshall. As you heard, if you were with us when we had a aborted qualifying session, Dave saying that he had worked the championship points out just to keep an eye on where everybody is. The consummate professional, and doing a super job here again, getting out in front and starting to build a lead. It's only a 10th or so at the moment for Marshall. As you look at Matt Richards still trying to pile that pressure on Jack MacIntyre and Ryan Elliott in the mix as well in that battle. Featured driver in this race, of course, is Simon Reed, who we spoke to after the qualifying session as well. So we'll be following the fortunes of Simon over the course of this race as well. Race settling down. Marshall still fastest lap, but Tobin Lee and Max Coates both setting green laps on the timing screen, which tells us that they were quicker. They're their fastest laps on that last lap. So Lee and Coates maybe working together to try and close down on the race leader. Newsham going through in the number 16 machine. Newsham at the moment down in 13th position, chasing Tom Williams. Hislop and Lee still there, 2nd and 3rd. Coates next up from Ryan Elliott, and then Jack MacIntyre, and a good battle coming up towards us here. You can see Tom Williams in the mix there in the yellow and white car. Williams being chased by Callum Newsham. Luke Kidsley is the darker car. A little bit of drift of this group at the moment as the MSL car of Alex Toth-Jones has a bouncy moment over the grass. That drops him down into 13th place. Manages to rejoin actually in 14th now behind Luke Kidsley. Damien Hall trying to close down on him, make a bit of progress as well. We focus on Tom Williams coming under pressure. You can see the scuffs on the side of the Catherine wheels, as they call them, on the side of the number 16 car of Callum Newsham. And it's just impressive to me, you know, the level of detail that you get actually on the track, but also in the damage that's inflicted on the cars as well.
Yeah, it's great actually in the build-up to starting the series, the option for the drivers to have their car rendered with their real world liveries, and it looks like most of the guys that have been racing have chosen that. But some of the sim racing liveries are also really smart, and I'd like to see those actually on real cars too. And like you say, even with some evidence of contact added to the cars as they carry on. But the only thing I have noticed, I don't think they lose wing mirrors, which would be a nice touch if we could get that added in somehow.
Yeah, that would be cool. And what would be even better, of course, is if they had to pay to get them replaced as well. Have a virtual parts van.
Well, that has been talked about, and Chloe Meadows, who's our parts lady, mentioned her last time on the stream, and yeah, she's keen on that idea.
That would be good. That would be a bit of a wake-up call for the sim lads, wouldn't it?
It would.
Well, Dave Marshall's still out front. This is his customary position at the moment. Josh Hislop in P2, and then Toby Lee and Max Coates. Max not able at the minute to get on terms with him, and again focusing on Callum Newsham with Tom Williams right behind him. Newsham in 11th place, needs to close in on that white car with the blue trim ahead, which is Rob Butler, who's where he was in race number 1 here in 10th position. That means could be another pole, and maybe a chance if he gets a provisional pole or gets pole on the reverse grid race, might be able to hold out a little bit longer and grab a first win, very possibly, as the 37 car Jack MacIntyre taking to the outside run now. Jack further back than he would like to be, and looks at the outside line, but Ryan Elliott doing a good job of holding on the inside line there. So Elliott holding on, good driving from him, nice and defensive. He's got the line blocked here. Oh, and a little bit of contact on the outside from Jack MacIntyre, who loses 2 places as a result. So Ryan Elliott hangs on to position. The pressure's very, very well off now. He had the line coming down into Graham Hill Bend and holds on to 5th position. He'll want to try and reel in Max Coates if he possibly can, but as you can see, there's a little bit of clear track ahead of Ryan at the moment. In the mix as well, there is Jordan Brennan. So Jordan now about to have a look at Matt Richards if he can. He's taking a slightly high and wide line, as Brian Jones would say, the voice of Brands Hatch, high, wide and handsome into Paddock Hill Bend. With Brian Jones, if you've ever met Brian, absolute gentleman, hope he's doing well. I had a lockdown birthday recently and missed listening to him at Brands. It's a glorious thing back in the day to sit in the sunshine on the bank and listen to Brian Jones commentating here at Brands. Very much the voice of this place. Nobody else could take that crown from him.
That was interesting there, Jack MacIntyre, not quite such a silent assassin this time. I imagine that was quite a noisy incident with those two coming together.
It would be interesting to hear the drivers mic'd up, wouldn't it? To hear what sort of noises they're making as they go through. Tobin Lee and Josh Hislop, very close, as they were in race number 1. And it's remember, it was Josh Hislop that came off the worst in race number 1. But one race 2, the reverse grid race, having finished 6th in race number 1. So again, very consistent point scoring from the Scotsman, as Luke Kidsley goes through again pretty much on his own. But this is a fascinating scrap at the moment for 4th position. Ryan Elliott, Matt Richards, Jordan Brennan goes wide again, looking to do a little bit of rally crossing perhaps there, and he'll look at his mirrors and see that Jack MacIntyre right behind him trying to get back. MacIntyre won't be overly disappointed if he finishes in 8th position, because that's his lowest finish so far, and still in the top 10. He knows that he's just got to finish. Kim Economy having a little wide moment as well, and a little bit of argy-bargy further back there involving Frankie Taylor as well, as in front of them through shot comes Simon Reed, who is our featured driver in this one. We talked about his Logitech racing setup in our interview after qualifying, and the driver of the 35 man from Oxford works at the Mini factory, and James or Jim Laux that I was mentioning, one of your JCW drivers, Anthony, that he knows from working on the real race days.
Yeah, very much so. James has been a stalwart of the championship for a few years and has been a huge help to us over the years because of his relationship, obviously working at the factory. So it's been really helpful.
It was nice to meet him. The first time I met him was at the Mini Festival, and went and introduced myself and had a chat, as I try and do with as many drivers as possible when I'm commentating at a meeting. Not always easy with time for a commentator to do that, to get around the paddock, but you do try. And he said, "You've been getting my name wrong." And I said, "I haven't." He said, "Yes, you have." I said, "I haven't." He said, "Yes, you have." I said, this is the first time I've commentated on JCW. He said, well, the regular commentator gets my name wrong. I thought he's been calling him Jim Lukes all year instead of Louts. But,
yeah, he did keep mentioning that to me as well, and I kept reminding people, but it didn't always get through.
But a good way of a great conversation to remember him, and he did well in the championship as well. But nice fella, and looking forward to working with him again this year. It'll be good to see. Sorry, going off at a total tangent, but there we are.
Talking a slight tangent, so I've seen that one of Callum Newsham's fans is getting excited. She says, Vanessa Poole, she says, oh dear me, I've now started shouting at the screen. And there we are, Callum on screen for us, so she'll be pleased.
God, Callum, under 16 son, of course.
Hashtag Newsham Nutters.
Newsham, I like that. That's pretty good. Dave Newsham from known Dave a good long while, as I mentioned last week, from Legends cars coming up through the ranks, Clio Cup champion, and Callum doing a sterling job. Not much experience, Callum. Certainly not as much as when his dad came into this level of racing.
No,
acquitting himself very well, indeed. And I think his dad's doing some e-racing as well. And whether they're fighting over the same rig or whether they've got separate rigs or not, I don't know. I'll have to find out before the next event. So Ryan Elliott coming under pressure from Matt Richards there, a great battle, and a little bit further back, Damien Hall having a good battle as well in the 246 car. Damien is just outside the top 20 at the moment. Actually, no, he's not. He's further up than that. He's in 13th position, and it's Alex Toth-Jones right behind him, isn't it, in the 11th car? So my apologies to Damien. And now Alex is teeing him up, looks at the inside. He's got the line as they come up into Druids and manages to make the pass under braking. Little bit of a love tap as well between the two, just to let Alex know that perhaps the game is not over yet. But a nice move by Alex Toth-Jones. Teed that up well, got him under braking, and Damien Hall finds himself relegated place. Alex Toth-Jones trying to get himself back up the order. So Alex now up into 13th place. A lot of work to do to try and get up. Oh, and there's more contact between the two. Goodness me.
What a lot of love going on.
Yeah, extremely physical between those two. So Ryan Elliott still in 5th place. Then Jordan Brennan, Matt Richards 7th, Jack MacIntyre in 8th, Josh Martin in 9th position. Unsurprisingly, Dave Marshall still has the fastest lap of the race. Now we're going to see Richards make a move here on Brennan, not close enough to do it at the moment. So Jordan Brennan running well. I think Jordan is, now this is the curse of the commentator, and his dad basically said, don't say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Possibly a contender for driver of the meeting again, because he's been consistent. He's had a lot of pressure thrust on him in this one as well, but equally we've seen Rob Butler put in some good performances as well. There's Rob at the moment down in 16th, so we're not going to see a provisional pole unless there are some big changes. Not going to see a reverse grid race pole for Rob Butler in this one.
But it looks like Hislop and Lee are absolutely joined together at the moment, so I think there could be a bit of a last few minutes challenge going on for 2nd place.
He's having a look, isn't he? As we're in looking at the left-hand pane there between those two, and Josh Hislop is under a little bit of pressure, as you say, or quite a lot of pressure, as Dave Marshall goes through to complete lap 20.
Hislop just managed to pull away a little bit there onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah,
looks like Lee's quicker in the tight and twisty stuff.
I think you're right. That's a good call. Here we come up into Druids. Has a look around the outside line. Max Coates he's trying to close down on them. So
yeah, look, real pressure.
Yeah, very much so here as they come down into Graham Hill Bend, and Tobin might have been better just using the momentum to build up and take a wider sweep and go through, and maybe have a look on the inside line as they went through to Surtees, but just not happening for him at the moment. A little bit further back, Jack MacIntyre still involved in the mix as well. MacIntyre still in 8th place, up ahead of Josh Martin. Martin, remember, who got fastest lap in race number 1, but a very brief change for fastest lap. It was Josh Hislop, but it's changed back to Marshall. Little flash on the screen there as they went through. So Dave Marshall with fastest lap is going to back 56 points here, which is going to be a big 12 points more than anybody else, and it is Hislop and Lee who are his main rivals in the championship at the moment. As we watch Jordan Brennan still in the mix with Matt Richards immediately up ahead of him, and starting to get into a little bit of traffic now. Starting to appear they're going to have to deal with. Kiam Economy is the lime green car that they successfully negotiate. Meanwhile, right of shot, you can see Josh Hislop in P2. Max Coates now getting closer to Tobin Lee for third place. So Coates putting the pressure on the right panel of your screen. Max Coates here about to challenge for a podium. And this is effectively a little bit of pressure off the second place man Josh Hislop at the moment, because Tobin's got his mirrors full of Max, has a little bit of contact. They're both going to blame the lag. That's very much firmly ensconced in the driver's not book of excuses, but certainly it's probably a valid reason, isn't it, why you might see a little bit of contact here and there. But some very physical racing between the two of them. Max still looking for third. Josh Hislop safe-ish in second position at the moment, and Tobin Lee is the man under pressure.
Yeah, the excuse of lag sometimes comes up in the real world, but normally related to turbos.
Absolutely right, it does, doesn't it? And Marshall well clear. 4 seconds, Dave Marshall.
Yeah, he's got it done, hasn't he?
Yeah, impressive stuff from Dave Marshall. 1 minute 24 plus 1 lap on the clock. And Josh Hislop at the moment looking good in second. Max trying to close up for another bite of the cherry to get onto the podium again, and he's going to need to do that. Max on 167 points. Here is possibly going to maybe pass Alex Toth-Jones in the points. I think he will if he can get the finish. Runs a little bit wide there. And Tobin Lee, I must admit, but when he's put under pressure, he's a good attacking driver, but also very good under pressure as well from Max Coates. The drivers do, in their setups, have the option, obviously, they have to have the rear view mirror graphics so that they can see what's happening. That top three actually looking a little bit more settled at the moment. Marshall, Hislop, Lee, Coates, then Jordan Brennan, from Ryan Elliott still in sixth position. So Elliott on for some more decent points here once again, as we look at Jack MacIntyre in that group as well. MacIntyre all over the back of Ryan Elliott at the moment. Elliott's driven a good race here as well. He might be one that we can perhaps sound out as a potential driver of the race here too. Good defensive driving from him, and he's got 3 cars right behind him here, including Matt Richards, and Richards coming under pressure from Jack MacIntyre. MacIntyre's going to be very frustrated, but having joined that group as well, and done so very well indeed, having pulled up quite a lot of space here, is Josh Martin in the green 89 car. Josh has caught this group, reeled them in, and now in the closing stage on the final lap, probably too late to get too much further up the road, but has done well to catch this group as they go across the line onto the last lap.
You were looking for a bit of an insight into what people were saying in their on their rigs, and I've just had some intel from Karen saying that Alex Toth-Jones is shouting in the room next to her.
I noticed she's not telling us what he's shouting, so
no,
that might be
colourful.
Indicative, but thanks ever so much for the update. That is greatly appreciated. As Dave Marshall is looking for yet another win from pole position, did the hard work in qualifying and has done superbly to put out a big gap, bags the fastest lap as well, and takes the checkered flag. Marshall the winner again, 4th race of the series for the Simlad, and then it is Josh Hislop in 2nd position. 3rd position goes to Tobin Lee, then Max Coates in 4th place. 5th position to Jordan Brennan, great result from Jordan, great result too from Ryan Elliott in the number 2 in 6th place. 7th goes to Matt Richards in car number 4. Then it was Josh Martin 89, a good catch up over the course of the race to catch that group. Jack MacIntyre in 9th actually got demoted by Josh Martin, so that's the Assassins' lowest finish so far, but still in the top 10. And then in 10th position, Tom Williams, who will of course be on pole position for our final race of the day. So I'm going to quickly do some scribbles. So we've got our grid for race 4, but another good race there.
Very much so. I think Dave's clearly stamping his authority on on this Brands Hatch weekend and the championship, but of course it's still very, very early days. Solid result for Max Coates that time, obviously challenging Tobin, Lee and Hislop for third place. I think we've got Dave probably ready to speak to us on the podium, virtual podium.
Well, Dave Marshall, you know, we threw a curveball at everybody with the extra qualifying session, but you know, you just came out quicker for that one and got that pole position early on, and another lights out to flag victory. Congratulations, and you know, how was it?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was just a bit between the teeth in quali. Just went out and got a really good pit exit. I was ahead of everyone and made it count and did it within 3 laps. So.
And did you know Anthony's got a nickname for you now?
Oh, what would that be?
The Machine.
There's worse nicknames, isn't there?
Dave the Machine Marshall. I think that's pretty good. But well done, mate, and congratulations. What are your thoughts going into the reverse grid? Because it's a lot of work, isn't it, to do?
Yeah, it's a heck of a lot of work, and you know, 35 cars on track. It's very, very busy every corner. So it's just keep my nose clean. You know, if I gain positions, I gain positions through, you know, people running wide of that. But I just try and keep it clean, really, for the reverse, and I'll take whatever position I get, to be fair.
Nice one. Perfect points for you in that one. Congratulations. We'll catch up with you, I think, after race 4. Assuming you get through into the podium, we'll see whether that happens. Well done, Dave, the Machine Marshall. Let's have a word with our second place driver. Went a lot better that time for Josh Hislop, a winning race number 2, second position in race number 3, and a good race with Tobin again.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't easy keeping Tobin behind. He was really quick all race, so happy to get second place.
How much of the pressure went off? I think Max Coates caught Tobin in the sort of last quarter of the race, and that maybe took a little bit of pressure off you.
Yeah, it took a little bit of pressure off. I was happy to see that in my mirrors, so yeah, happy to get.
I think that maybe consolidates second in the championship for you. By my maths, I tried to work it out during our little break that we had, and I think you moved up to second with Tobin down in 4th, and so you're probably keeping that now. And Jack MacIntrye had a disappointing one in that one, so he might be down to 4th as well now behind Tobin. But any thoughts going into the reverse grid race again?
Hopefully just get through the pack well. Obviously Dave and Tobin will be starting further back as well, so hopefully we'll have a good fight through to the front. Okay,
best of luck for that, and thanks for having a quick chat with us. Let's have a word with Tobin, who again on the podium. Tobin Lee, super race with Josh Hislop. We just heard from Josh, but Max Coates was keeping you a little bit interested there in the later stages.
Yeah, it was a really good race, wasn't it? Like, I think Josh's defence was pretty spot on. Like, he didn't put a foot wrong, and if you're not putting a foot wrong in these cars, I mean, as we can see by how close the lap times are, there's literally nothing that an attacker can really do when there's defence as in the way as that, which was a bit of a shame from my perspective, but awesome from Josh's, and obviously with Max behind as well, that kind of eased it in the last quarter, as you said. But yeah, it was a really, really fun race.
Good points again. I think championship-wise, it's going to be between you and Jack MacIntrye, pretty close together. By my maths, after race 2, and Josh maybe just edging away a tad. But you know, as we said last week, the points are quite high for finishing high. So a non-finish for anybody is going to close it all up again.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the reverse grids are probably my weakness at the moment. Like, I haven't had a good result really, like when I've started far back in the reverse grids. So moving forward in this long season, that's like the area I'll be working on the most.
Oh, you won the reverse grid race last time out.
I did first. So
first isn't good enough for Tobin.
But anyway, it's cheating, isn't it? So
a win's a win, fella. Well, congratulations on third. Great to talk to you on the podium again. Well done on a super race. Initially there with Josh Hislop, and then Max Coates trying to have a nibble at you as well in the closing stages. So that's our top 3 from race 3 here on the Brands Hatch configuration, and it's the top 10 that will be reversed. 10th position going to the real world races. James MacIntyre, I think, actually on that one, looking at the timing screen that I've got. So we've got James MacIntyre on pole, and then Jack MacIntyre alongside. So James and Jack, let's just jot that down so we've got that written down. And then it's Isaac Smith on row 2 with... No, I think this has probably changed around because that can't be right. We've got Ethan Hammerton there. So we'll have to see the grid when it comes out from the top 10 in the race that we've got. Just under 1.2 miles around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, as you can see here. Me, Richard John Neal, joined by Anthony Williams in the commentary box. Race director Rich Hayden. I've not mentioned Rich today. Done an awful lot of work behind the scenes in this. And very grateful for the amount of work and effort that's been put in by everybody behind the scenes in the official mini challenge eSeries with Virtual Reality Racing Club, who can look after all your virtual reality racing needs. As you can see, we've got a clerk of the course as well in Andy Ringland, who is a mini racer as well. And the cars are on the grid ready for the 4th race of the day. This is going to be fascinating to see whether... that was interesting to hear Tobin Lee say that he didn't fancy his chances on the reverse grid races, but remember he did take the 2nd reverse grid race win at Donington Park. So we mustn't discount him at all as the lights go out and we are racing, and it's Tom Williams who makes a super start in yellow and white, gets away well. So it's Williams, the race leader. Jack MacIntyre immediately up into P2 and challenging for the lead as they come up into Druids. Now the Assassin is going to be, I think, a difficult man to beat from there. In the mix as well, Josh Martin in green. They're still side by side for the lead. MacIntyre trying to get across, but it was a good start from Williams as they go down through Graham Hill Bend, keeping an eye on the back of the field to make sure they all make it through. We've got one car that spears off, 2, 3, 4 on the apex, and several cars shunted off very sadly. But it's Jack MacIntyre who leads from Tom Williams in 2nd position. Then coming up as well, Matt Richards, strong finisher in race number 1. I tell you what, he's going to be a dark horse as well, chipping away race places and championship points as well. And 3rd as they cross the line at the end of lap number 1. But, Anthony Williams, you're going to be a brave man to bet against the Silent Assassin in this one from the front. Well, wait for Anthony to join us, but it is the Silent Assassin still there. 2nd position is Tom Williams. I'll tell you what, it was a decent start by Tom Williams. Again, a driver that's shown some super pace. We're going to be keeping an eye on Craig Timmins in this race as well. Remember Craig running in the number 36 car, the man from Leeds that we spoke to after the 2nd qualifying of 3, because we had that technical issue on the first go at the 2nd race qualifying. But now a little bit of pressure coming on Tom Williams from Matt Richards. Williams rides the curbs there, and here they come up towards Druids once again, with Williams trying to hunt down the race leader Jack MacIntyre, but I think he's really probably got to be a little bit more concerned about what's going on in his mirrors, and Matt Richards trying to close down him. Number 4, the Welshman, 23 years of age, degree in graphic design and media, 5 times British virtual touring car champion is Richard, so certainly no shortage of pedigree in this type of racing, and piling the pressure on Tom Williams. They come out of Clark Curve onto Brabham Straight again. 4th position is Ryan Elliott again. Elliott has been very, very strong today, and we've got many contenders for driver of the day, but he's certainly going to be up there with the others that I've mentioned as Tom Williams runs wide, drops to 3rd. Now watch Ryan Elliott pick up speed as well, because he's got the momentum on the inside line. Saw that and goes through, does he? Yes, he does. Ryan Elliott through into 3rd position. Tom Williams now is down into 4th place, with Scott Brennan snapping at his heels now. So Brennan trying to get in the mix as well, get up towards podium pace. Remember, he was the up at the sharp end of things in the first reverse grid race, and that means 2 things. One, his confidence is building, and secondly, we're seeing him up in the top 10 and the sharp end of things with greater regularity, and that goes for Ryan Elliott as well, then running in 3rd position.
Yeah, sorry, Richard, earlier on with the technical problem. That's the commentator's book of excuses coming out. I pressed the wrong button on the comms controls.
That's very honest of you. Never mind. But, welcome back. What a start, though. Great race.
No, it's great. I think when I was mentioning something and you couldn't hear me because obviously I pressed the wrong button, but clearly I think Josh Hislop fell down the order pretty quickly at the beginning, didn't he? So that's not going to help his championship chances. And of course, the machine is also still down in 10th place. But we saw that before in race 2, that he was languishing down in 10th, but then by the end of the race, still managed to get himself up there towards the top.
Yeah, and even if he stays in 10th, as we saw at Donington, that was enough for him at Donington, 2 wins and 2 10ths, or 2 11th places at Donington to cement that championship lead, especially with the pole positions, which he's had another 2 of this weekend, and fastest laps coming through as well. Fastest lap in this one at the moment is Jack Mack with a 49.923, so the race leader. And this will be good for him because that was his most disappointing finish so far, but as long as he's staying in the top 10 in any of these races, of course, particularly the race ones, it means that he's in with a shout in the reverse grid part. As we watch Dave Marshall there in 66 at the back of this group, and you don't mind being at the back because you can start to pick off cars. We had a quick look there at Craig Timmins. There he is in the 36 car, our featured driver in this race, running with the Logitech kit, office chair and wedges, keeping the chair in place on thick pile carpet. I love that. What a great description, a great Yorkshire description.
Somewhat more garage East approach to sim rig.
Absolutely right. I'm going to play this back to my son so he doesn't nag me to buy new equipment for him. He's got the up now. He shut the door on me.
Looks like the Newsham Brenham team are having a strong race.
Where are they?
Sort of 5th and 9th.
Yeah, not a lot between those. So...
Well, they're normally locked together more than that, aren't they? But they've just managed to. There's a few cars between them for a change.
I'm sure Callum will sort that out. He's doing a grand job. He's Callum Newsham and trying to climb his way up the order. Meanwhile, we've got guess who's got the fastest lap, Anthony?
Well, it's probably Marshall, isn't it?
Oh, what a great guess! The machine, 49.765. He's in 10th place still, and it's Callum Newsham is going to be his next target. So there is Callum. Tobin Lee, who professes not to be as good at these reverse grid races. He's doing a pretty good job by where I'm looking at. Dave Marshall in the blue 66 right behind as well. And then a little bit of a gap back to 11th place, which is Isaac Smith. And then Rue Clark in 12th. So Rue making some good progress. Yeah, running well. That's good to see. Hopefully
he'll a little bit of rough and tumble in the previous race, so hopefully it keeps a bit cleaner this time.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll see him in the top 10. Maybe at Silverstone he can get into the reverse grid territory and see him having a go at leading the race as we watch Callum Newsham running the Thrustmaster setup. He's got a standard race seat and a standard PC monitor. So I'm guessing peripheral vision might not be as good if you're running depends on the size of the monitor, but he's getting stuck in, gives Tobin a little bit of a nudge. I think he learnt that off his dad, although it was probably a little bit of broadband lag that maybe caused him to just have a little nudge on the back. It wasn't a Matt Neal lunge and contact. I'm sure Matt will thank me for that.
Luckily, I don't see Matt watching on the live stream at the moment, so fingers crossed he won't have heard you.
No, hopefully not. And now in car with Callum Newsham, so coming down through Graham Hill Bend, grabs the apex, and they really have disregarded the track limit, really taking it as far as they can, aren't they here? And if they replicate that when we go to the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch for real, then there are going to be a few fines being told. Tobin Lee having a big Mr. Whippy moment there, but I think collects it all up as Callum Newsham got round the outside. No, he couldn't quite make enough hay there, but does he get the momentum to go through? No, he's on the outside line. And I thought Newsham could have pounced then, but there was a good recovery from Tobin Lee. Dave Marshall still in behind as well. Marshall knows that he doesn't want to do any heroics and risk going right the way down the order. Wants to get the points. Even if you're in 10th place, you pick up 25 points. Newsham now exploring the outside line, and this could give Dave Marshall a run. He's on the outside, side by side, those two cars, but he knows that Callum Newsham's got the line going down into Graham Hill Bend. Tell you what, Marshall's tighter actually and better on track limits than a lot of the other drivers, and as a result, he's got the inside run. Not enough momentum as they come into Surtees, then into McLaren, now round into Clearways. And Marshall trying to close in. Let's just have a quick look. We've still got Jack MacIntyre out front, 9/10 clear at the moment over Matt Richards.
Classic slow in, fast out. driving there from Dave Marshall.
Was indeed. So Newsham and Marshall having a really good scrap as they go through. We get a quick look at James MacIntyre, who is the race leader, starting to get a bit of traffic. This is very much typical for the Indy circuit. Nips down the inside line and passes Ethan Hammerton. It's unusual
I
to
think
see.
that's the wrong MacIntyre, Richard. This is confusing me as well, the two MacIntyres. Our Green Reaper, James
of course, that's
MacIntyre, I
James,
think
isn't
he's
it? Beg
down
your
in
pardon.
15th.
Yep, good spot. Thank you for that.
No problem.
So James MacIntyre, yeah, but we saw a lot of him at Donington, but haven't seen as much.
I had a good chat with him
this
in the week,
weekend.
actually. He said he enjoyed himself.
Oh, that's good.
He didn't chastise me too much for reminding everybody of his sponsor and the fact that it's a grass cutting company, and he has a bit of a tendency to cut a bit of grass now and again.
He hasn't done that today, has he?
He hasn't. I mean, maybe he's decided that the sponsorship isn't good enough to make sure that they get the coverage.
Possibly right. 27-year-olds from Middlesbrough, and that's Jack MacIntyre. Get me MacIntyre's bad luck again. Raced in production BMWs, obviously mini challenge as well. C1s, Kima BMW. Lots of experience. 28 years of age from London is James MacIntyre in the mix there, having a run as well. Is Craig Timmins, not that far away at the moment from Damien Hall. So again, very much mix and match as we watch Dave Marshall popping up the inside line. Marshall goes through and past Newsham to take 9th position. Max Coates the next target. So that was our front row, wasn't it, in race number 1? Marshall and Coates, and Marshall goes up safely through into 9th position. So still Jack MacIntyre out front. He's doing a bit of a Dave Marshall here. 1.5 seconds clear at the moment over Matt Richards. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we get the opportunity to talk to some new drivers on the podium. And at the moment, it could look that way with Matt Richards in 2nd position and Ryan Elliott running in 3rd, who's having an extremely good meeting as well. James Merrill's in the 88 car, having a good dice as well with Will Fairclough. Will running in the number 30, another Jam Sport man. Jam Sport, of course, we've been associating and talking about Jam Sport with Amport Eels, but the Pembrokeshire 42-year-old having a good go, the real estate developer, based in the Cooper S-Class in 2018, gained a win, and a motorcycle enthusiast as well. Is he, as the race continues.
Spinner.
Yeah, we have got a spinner coming down.
Max Bird, I think.
Oh dear, not his day really. He was very quick on that second qualifier, but drops down and getting back on track. He's now behind Lewis Brown, who's in 20th. That's a shock to see Lewis Brown that far down, and not great for him as we look at Jordan Brennan putting the pressure here on Ryan Elliott. This is for 3rd place, podium battle. Brennan, who is now really free to challenge, looks at the outside line, so goes wide into Paddock Hill Bend. Is he going to go for the cutback here? Yes, he is. Has a look, but Ryan Elliott was wise to that. Comes across, grabs the line as they go up Hailwoods Hill into Druids, but now Jordan Brennan, you can see, was trying to brave it out, get the grip on the outside line, which would reward him with the inside line to Graham Hill Bend, but not enough grip to be able to do that. The Liquid Molly Northcott vending machine is still there in 4th place, but putting the pressure on. Both of these two, Anthony, I think would be contenders for the driver of the day. It's real good stuff.
Yeah, I think you could be right there. It's certainly been solid results all the way through, and they're putting on a great race here.
It was Rob Butler earlier on, but Rob not showing anywhere in this. But these guys have been fast and consistent. Max Coates still there at the moment in 7th place, so Dave Marshall putting pressure on him. And Marshall having a look on the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend. That was super stuff from Dave Marshall. Sends it down the inside. Coates is going to get him though on the cutback and on the run up hill. This is classic real world racing.
Great racing.
Virtualised. Superb between the two. Marshall grabbed the position. Coates grabbed it back. Clean and fair, and not a touch between the pair.
Yeah, those two, that's absolutely fantastic driving.
First class stuff. Max Coates and Dave Marshall. Championship leader Dave Marshall with Max Coates, and that's for 7th position. Tobin Lee will be relieved to see those scrapping. He's in 6th position ahead of them. Josh Martin is in 5th place and very much engaged now with Jordan Brennan really getting stuck in. Jordan not having been able to challenge down Ryan Elliott, so Josh Martin up into 4th. This is a good run from, very good result, very good racing from Josh Martin. Now challenging for that podium, so let's see whether he can do what Jordan Brennan couldn't do, which is to try and relieve Ryan Elliott from 3rd. But Ryan's been doing some very good defensive driving today, and he'll try and hang on to that 3rd position. So again, wherever you look on track, we've seen some super battles going on. Marshall still down in 8th, Max Coates having reclaimed the position from him, and we'll just be mindful of where he is and bagging those points to maybe eke the championship lead out just that little bit further. So Ryan Elliott, 3rd position. Having a good run at the moment. Josh Martin
under a lot of pressure from Josh Martin there.
Yeah, Josh's car seems to be really coming on strong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And now has a look up the inside line, but again, Ryan knows what to do to defend. Comes across to the inside line, and this is bringing Jordan Brennan into the mix as well. Jordan on the outside line. Tobin Lee is in the mix as well, and Tobin knows that he can maybe pick up a few points here as well. So Tobin Lee in the mix. What a race we're having. Max Coates, Dave Marshall a little bit untidy there, going a little bit further. Max Coates was telling me in the week that if you do take the wider line, you can eke a little bit more speed out. That's why the e-racing lap times are a little bit quicker than the times that were set, say, at the mini festival where we raced here for real last year. 3 wide, meanwhile, battling it out here for this fourth position, because still there at the moment is Ryan Elliott, and it's Jordan Brennan on the inside line. Tobin Lee on the outside. Is Tobin going to be able to make that stick? I think Jordan knows he's got the inside line, and coming through as well in green. What a superb move by Josh Martin up ahead of Tobin Lee and trying to tee up the inside, which he's got incredibly round the outside at Druid. A little bit of contact, a kiss and a cuddle there from Jordan Brennan, and he loses out on the place as well to Tobin Lee. But that was a great move round the outside line. Read the grip and momentum well and got through into 4th place again.
That was a brilliant move by Josh Martin. 3 abreast going into Druids, managed to come out and then finish the move down into Graham Hill Bend.
4 minutes to go. Well called, Anthony, with Ryan Elliott still in 3rd place, Matt Richards in 2nd. And if Ryan was looking in his mirrors at that battle, he would have been pleased, because they're all slowing each other up. Tobin Lee, remember the purpley pink and white car there that's sitting in the 3rd car of the group we're looking at, said that he doesn't like the reverse grid races. Well, he's picked them off here and done a super job, and this is going to be good points for him. He's looking at the inside line here, but he ideally wanted the outside on the exit of Druids to tee up the inside of the Graham Hill Bend here. But now he's got Jordan Brennan right with him. Jordan gets right into the back of the car. Meanwhile, behind there, Max Coates and Dave Marshall has caught up as well. So we've got a big train for big points in this race. Our last race of the day with 3:18 on the clock. I tell you what, the Ryan Elliott in 3rd, looking relatively safe at the moment. It could still all change in the remaining 4 minutes or so that we've got here, but it's Jack MacIntyre out front. Matt Richards, a relatively quiet 2nd position, but a sterling drive from him to maintain that. Ryan Elliott is running in 3rd position, and then it's the big bun fight at the moment on for 4th, and holding on to it at the moment is Josh Martin, but Martin coming under pressure from Tobin Lee, and 3 wide immediately behind them. Oh, we're going to see some place changes there. They're all getting stuck in, and this is the kind of thing that Dave Marshall won't want to get too embroiled in if he can help it. Jordan Brennan embroiled, Marshall to the outside, Max Coates to the inside line here, and Coates is going to try and get past Jordan Brennan, which I think he does. Dave Marshall trying to go through as well. Coates is ahead, Marshall's ahead of Brennan. Well, fair play to Jordan Brennan. He's going to say that he learned a lot this weekend, I think, from his racing, but loses out to Coates and Marshall. Coates up to 6th, Marshall in 7th now, still with the fastest lap. Position still changing, but it's MacIntyre the leader. Richards in 2nd, Elliott in 3rd. New names on the podium potentially here at Brands Hatch. This round has certainly delivered once again.
Josh Martin, though, he's actually closing down on Elliott, even with the pressure from behind from Tobin Lee. Josh is still managing to reel in that 3rd place position.
Certainly is, as we get into the closing stages. So there's Max Bird. Quick look at the 44 car. Disappointment for him with that 2nd qualifying session, but still out front, still fastest lap Dave Marshall. Set that early on and he's hung on to that. We've seen that pattern kind of materialising
Marshall having a look at Coates again, try and go through. 1 minute 23 plus 1 lap. Marshall to the outside, then to the inside. Jordan Brennan up in the mix as well as they come into Paddock Hill Bend. So Brennan there as well. Then it's Callum Newsham. So we've got the dynamic duo back together. The two Liquid Moly Northcott vending cars together. Newsham having a look on the outside line, and of course absolutely keen to pass his teammate. Thrilling racing between these. Newsham is going to nip down on the inside line here. Is he going to be able to get the run? Dave Marshall dropping back a little bit from Max Coates at the moment. Newsham couldn't quite get the momentum to close up on Jordan Brennan, but it's still MacIntyre, Richards and Elliott, the 1, 2, 3. Martin still piling the pressure on. He's only 3 tenths behind. This is the battle for third place. Ryan Elliott's driven a super meeting so far. We're going to see a maiden podium for him. He'll be hoping so. His family will be too. 33 seconds plus the 1 lap to go. Here's the battle for third. Josh Martin putting the pressure on. We've seen Ryan Elliott deal with superbly well over the meeting so far. Here we come up into Druids again, keeping that defensive line. Oh, Martin virtually threw the car into Druids, but doesn't lose too much momentum. That might take a bit of pressure off Elliott, because now we've got Toby Lee putting the pressure on Josh Martin again. That was a real dive, wasn't it, Anthony?
It was. He was really absolutely on it, Josh, and clearly pushed just a little bit too hard there into Druids. But he's still got a little bit of time, just another lap or so, to perhaps close that gap up again and make another attempt at passing Elliott.
Yeah, we are now. I think the leader's about to go on to the final lap. Indeed, they are. The clock has ticked down. So Jack MacIntyre, the race leader, onto his last lap, as is Matt Richards in second position. And this, the closest battle on track, and the most significant for sure, is for third place. Ryan Elliott has held on so far, but Josh Martin has a look at the outside, kicks to the outside line. Tobin Lee's passed him on the outside line, but gets a tab, gets it sideways. He's going to be into the drifting championship if that carries on as well. But under immense pressure and soaking it up superbly is Ryan Elliott, still there in second position. Our race leader, though, is going to take the win. Jack MacIntyre coming up to deal with Keir McConomy, who's immediately in front of him. MacIntyre's going to have a look, looks to the inside, then to the outside line, keeping one eye on second position as well. MacIntyre's going to take the winner. Congratulations to him. Second position will go to Matt Richards. And what about third place? Well, third place is, I think, going to be, yes, it is, Ryan Elliott. We've got 2 newcomers to the podium. What a finish to our racing here at Brands Hatch. Absolutely superb. 2 new drivers on the podium. Fastest lap went to Dave Marshall, who is still behind Max Coates. They were 6th and 7th. Toby Lee finished in 5th place. Then Jordan Brennan, Callum Newsham 9th, and Josh Hislop in 10th place. Good recovery from Josh Hislop for some decent points there. But it means we're going to...
What a finish.
That was great, wasn't it? So we're going to speak to some new drivers on the podium. Absolutely superb racing. And if that doesn't whet your appetite for next weekend when we're at Silverstone, I don't know what will.
That was just super exciting, wasn't it? The battles between sort of Max Coates and Dave Marshall and I think a couple of others in that group, and then of course the battle for third, Elliott, Martin, Lee. Wow, really great racing. Obviously Jack MacIntyre, solid result. I'm not sure if what happened there, but obviously Josh Martin, I think, carrying on.
He wants to do some more, I think, which is fair. And of course the our third place man there, not a maiden podium for him. I clearly forgot about the one that he took in race 2 last weekend. Donington Park, Ryan Elliott in third place. But we'll start with our winner, Jack MacIntyre. Congratulations. I think we said at the start that you'd have to be a brave man to bet against you in that position on the reverse grid race, but you got away. That was a little bit of a Dave Marshall-esque drive, if we can call it that.
God, that's a compliment. Yeah, thanks. I knew I just needed to get past that first car, and then hopefully would have the pace just to be able to drive off. So it all worked out. Thanks.
What does it mean to get your first win in this series?
Oh, it's great. I'm sick of coming third. But, no, really good. Worked really hard this week on pace. There's still some more to find to keep up with Dave and some of the other guys, but yeah, really happy.
And okay, that was a reverse grid race, but you're still, I think, probably the only driver who's been in the top 10 and in fact in the top 9 in every single finish out of the 8 races. So that's not too shabby, is it?
Yeah, really chuffed with that. I thought coming into this series, it was going to be a bit of a wild one, a lot of door banging. But it seems like the racing's really good, so there's some good opportunities just to finish consistently. So I'm glad I can do just that so far.
And I guess the change in the points that you would probably advocate would be get rid of those pole position and fastest lap points that Mr. Marshall keeps getting to get the gap down.
Yeah, pesky.
Okay, mate. Congratulations. Great to see you. Well done. Look forward to seeing you next week at Silverstone. Let's go to the driver who finished in second, which was Matt Richards. First time to chat to you, Matt. Congratulations, and a cracking, but maybe a little bit of a lonely race, mate.
Yeah, a little bit. Happy to have a bit of a better race. I've not had much time to get used to the car or find a few things to bring the pace up a little bit. So happy to actually get a good result for once.
You're a virtual touring car champion. How does the feel of these cars compare to the machines that you've virtually driven in touring cars compare?
Vaguely similar. Quite a bit less power and maybe a little bit less lively, I'd say, even though a couple of the moments that I had in that race might have made it look a little bit less so. But yeah, the basics are still the same, so it's a very similar driving style. I'm not used to racing on Assetto Corsa. I'm usually racing on other platforms, so that's something that I'm still getting used to as well.
And what sort of prep will you do for next week on the Silverstone configuration? Have you raced on that outline before, or?
Oh, countless times. I'm hoping to put a lot more time into this for the next week. I've just been a little bit busy recently with everything that's going on, so hopefully I can stick a little bit more time in and bring the lap times up a little bit more and challenge these guys further up the front.
Nice one. Well, that'll be great to see at Silverstone. Well done on a cracking drive today. We didn't see too much of you because there were a lot of battles elsewhere, but super result. Great to welcome you to the podium in the official mini challenge eSeries. So well done on that. And finally, I think we're going to get to chat to our third place driver. We didn't get the opportunity, sadly, last week to talk to him, but he's there now. Ryan Elliott, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Ryan, many congratulations. Great to welcome you back to the podium. Sorry we didn't get to chat to you last week, but my goodness me, we've seen you put under a heck of a lot of pressure today. Some great driving from you, both in terms of attacking, getting away, but also defensively. And how have you seen your day?
It's been a lot better than round one, I'd say. I mean, I had the podium in round one, but it still just wasn't a true reflection of my pace, I don't think. So coming in this round, I just wanted to keep it more every race in the top 15. Managed to do that, so I'm happy. Although my pace wasn't there, I've still managed to get some decent.
And you're one of the drivers, I think your biog says that you're hoping to enter the real world racing Cooper Pro in 2021, and it would be fantastic to welcome you to that grid. How are the preparations going for that?
It's tough. Obviously, the pandemic's not helping in a lot of ways in terms of sponsorship and arranging if we were to do any testing. But I mean, I'm getting introduced into some of the people who are racing in the championship by doing this, and it's really boosting my confidence a little bit thinking about next.
Oh, that's great. Very well done, and thanks for joining us in our virtual Parc Ferme, and well done on that third place. One thing we haven't been able to do is work the championship points out. I haven't, as we've been going through, because it is an absolutely frenetic, nearly 4 hours actually, that we've had today. But well done to our podium, Jack MacIntyre, Matt Richards and Ryan Elliott. A big thank you to those guys for joining us on the podium. And also Anthony Williams, I think we're still running on social media, so if people want to nominate there, it's not about us, it's not about the championship officials. We want to get the fans involved as well with their nominations for Driver of the Day. And are there any coming through? And do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, not necessarily votes for Driver of the Day, but certainly getting plenty of feedback from the Newsham army. They're obviously usually there at the real world races cheering on Callum, but this time they're cheering on both their drivers. So it's good to see them commenting.
Absolutely right. Looking forward to my next Northcott coffee as well.
And I've also noticed that Andy Ringland, our clerk of the course, has been watching live, so he'll get a bit of an insight into what he's going to have to look at in any judicials that follow.
Yes, he will. I'll have to see if we can tee up a chat with Andy Ringland. You can see on your screen the credits are flowing, so don't forget that next weekend we are at Silverstone. So a big thanks to everybody who's put such a terrific show together today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Had a few teething problems here and there, and those Those have been sorted out by the backroom boys very quickly indeed. We'll have the championship points for you on social media as soon as we can. But from Anthony Williams, all the team here at the official Mini Challenge eSeries with Virtual Reality Racing Hub, a big thank you for watching and joining us, and we look forward to your company again next week. So again, as we said last week, stay safe, be well. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.